Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Good evening and welcome to Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott, and we appreciate you tuning us on in as we're going to get into a very sensitive topic tonight. Tim Senor is our guest, and we're going to get into how the UFO phenomena can change a person. Dirty Filth is here with another crazy cartoon, and the best part about tonight, we have each and every one of you, including Eternity Eternal in the gold medal position, Kitty Caddywhack with the silver, Tim Mothman and his goatee sharing a bronze medal tonight. Hello, race fan. Number 4, how are you? Robert Lamoth. Amanda, how are you tonight? Thank you for coming on in. Let's continue on with our roll call here. There's Al Garay over on Twitch. He literally ran the track, okay, 'cause every 4 times is a mile. Yeah, 16 miles in 18 minutes. 16 miles in 18 minutes. Yeah, he was flying. T-Bone, my man, good to have you here. Bar Madison, thanks for coming on in. Mel WD-40 is here lubing us up for tonight's show, because you always want to go into a show with Tim nice and smooth, because his head is bald and smooth. So he wants to be lubed up, so that way you can get the shininess to it. So thank you, Mel, for lubing up Tim's head. And the other Tim's head, too. All right? Not the top head. Okay, let's just be clear here. Exquisite, how are you tonight as we continue on with our roll call? Little Timmy James in the chat room and in studio. What's happening, my man? Scrolling on down, necessary dialogue. And Mama Catherine, I love you, Mama Catherine. I hope you had a wonderful day, and I hope you enjoy this show tonight. I really do. Let's see here, scrolling on down. Hippie Deidre is here. Hippie Deidre will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio, if you don't mind. To the left of the studio. By the way, what do you think of this new chat room right here? You can actually see your comments. I just found that today. They're just testing it out on StreamYard. I kind of like it. Excuse me. Scrolling on down, we have Operation Shutdown. And who's next here? Paramarv. Millennium, my man. Good to see you both here. As well as, scrolling on down, Rock and Rory. And Human Carl is here, a great veteran of the United States Air Force. Thank you, Human Carl, for your service. And we appreciate you so much. We love it when you're here. Moving on down, we got Joanne. Thank you for joining us. David Norenberg, good to see you. Ozzy Ange is here. Ozzy Ange will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio, if you don't mind. To the right of the studio. Thomas Rock, good to see you. And who's next? Tracy Winters, thank you for coming on in. All right, here we go. Pam Harris, thank you for joining us. I Like Ike, nice to see you. Again, that's 2 nights in a row. And what in tarnation? How you doing? Good to see you. Al Gray has corrected me. After the track, he did 700 pounds on the leg press 47 times. So not only did he run 16 miles in 18 minutes, but then he went to the gym and did 700 pounds on leg press. The guy is a machine. Kitty, thank you for kicking off the super chat tonight. Greatly appreciate your nightly love and support of SOR, so thank you very, very much. Moving on down, let us say hello next to Escape from Blue Jersey. Lenda, nice to see you. And number 25 in your program, starting at center ice tonight from Stockholm, Sweden, Lars Jansson. Good to see you. All right. Doug Shelby is here. The Doug Shelby has arrived, which means we can officially start this show. Oob to Joe's Main, you've got aliens. Digger Dog, nice to see you. Mac Geek, thanks for coming on in. Super Knower and Obsy? Yeah, let's go Oilers right there. That's a hockey team right there, my man. That's a winner. Welcome to the chat, by the way. Start the radio side. Hello and welcome to the radio and podcast side of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Tim Senor is our guest tonight. What's it like to be affected by the UFO phenomena? That is the topic at large. We are in roll call right now. Walter Kochabinski, thanks for coming on in. Jay Trueseeker, good to see you. And let's see, who else is here? Lacey Blue, it's been a while. Nice to see you in the studio. Nice to have you here. Dr. Nonagon, welcome back. And, we're running out of time here. We're just running out of time. Super Chat is open. Throw those horns up. Let's rock, everybody. It is that time of the night.
Are you ready to hear your mystic voice of the night?
It's time to wake up.
He's here. Shush. Be quiet. He's ready for you to listen. Let's point our ears towards the little cabin in the woods, where together, my friends, we own the night. It's time for Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott.
From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot. Read the news wire. Check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. Tonight's going to be an emotional show tonight because we're going to get the real effects of the phenomena as is. Tim Senor, who used to be our UFO report guy, we're going to interview him because I think this is a very important story to tell regarding how this phenomena can affect somebody, and we're going to get to that momentarily. Then in hour number 3, Swamp Dweller is here with another spooky story. Follow that up by Little Timmy James in studio for the UFO report. I'm going to be honest with you. This is going to be a hard one for me. It's going to be a hard one for me because Tim is a friend. Tim is a seasoned UFO investigator and former reporter on Spaced Out Radio, where his deep curiosity and sharp eye for detail made him a respected voice of the field. As an eyewitness to multiple UFO encounters, Tim brings firsthand experience to his research, blending personal testimony with investigative rigor. His encounters include close-range sightings and high-strangeness events that have shaped his understanding of the phenomena, prompting him to explore both the technological and spiritual dimensions of the UFO mystery. When he was with Spaced Out Radio, Tim reported on breaking stories and facilitated interviews with experiencers, researchers, and much more. Now, beyond broadcasting, he's pursuing his own passion through visual storytelling, working as a film producer to document unexplained aerial phenomena and the people affected by them, including himself. Let's bring him on here. Tim Senor, we'll get you to unmute your mic. Welcome back to Spaced Out Radio. It's been too long, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing really well, Dave. Thanks for the invitation tonight. And hello, Spaced Out Radio fans. It's been a while.
You're uncomfortable doing this. So am I. Why are you uncomfortable?
Well, I haven't been on any kind of show, podcast, or live talk event since you and I spent some time up in the woods together. I've taken a different path, a little less aggressive, if you might want to say, putting myself in the line of fire with this. It wasn't just the series of events with you, but it was shortly thereafter, and other things we can talk about tonight. But these things definitely shaped my career. I can definitely say that.
So let's go back in time, because for a lot of people who may not remember you being our UFO reporter, you were a guy who got into this field after an incident in Washington State with your family. It started your push, and I'm going to get you to tell that story here momentarily. But it started with that push, and then you and I met and became quick friends, and it led to me offering you the UFO report job, which you jumped on, and you did a absolute great job with that and built a seasoned reputation with that. It led to different opportunities because your love of film and putting things on camera really kind of took over from there. But there was an incident that changed your entire life, and we are going to base tonight's show around that incident, about how the phenomena really hit you hard. And let's start off with the Bainbridge Island incident. What happened there?
Yeah. So back in 2019, in the summertime, 9 family members and myself were down at Rockaway Beach on Bainbridge Island, which is a little beach that looks directly across the Puget Sound towards Seattle. And an event took place in the skies there that were fairly undeniable. And me being the filmmaker with that coursing through my veins, I was able to document it pretty well. And so once I took that evidence to the proper authorities and they were convinced it was something real, I decided I would take that to the next level, because I wasn't getting any answers on what it could be, and took investigation into my own hands and struck out into the world looking for some truth in this. And so, as you know, I made some friends along the way that helped me make some choices on how to approach it and how to be open to all of that. And I had some really good spiritual guidance and some technical guidance along the ways. And what's happened is I've ended up with a fairly decent bank of what I would call evidence. And for me, evidence has always been something that outweighs an experience. And not everyone likes to hear that, but that's who I am. I'm somebody that would rather present evidence than a story. I like both. Both work well in tandem. And so, yeah, I'm a filmmaker still. And so I've tried to blend those two things into my life. And so that's what I've been focused on since 2019, producing any kind of evidence-based film or show that I can put out on this topic. And it's not necessarily just UFOs. Obviously, as we know, the phenomenon bleeds into all aspects of life. So, yeah.
When you had that incident in Bainbridge Island with your family, you weren't really a believer in this subject. It was weird to you. It was odd. And yet here you are now making this a life's mission to try and, get more involved on the film side and telling stories. That incident that happened there, you come from a very scientific family. How did that really mold where you are today with everything?
Yeah. So 2 PhDs, 2 people in the military, myself with a few degrees in some science and in film, and then children who are pretty open. We're all the witnesses to this event. And so when I took this subject on, nobody in my family had ever said the word UFO in any sentence before. other than maybe, did you enjoy Close Encounters or did you see E.T.? Something like that, or I would bring it up as an anecdote, but not as something that I've experienced or thought was real. And so when this happened to a group of people that analyze everything from an analytical standpoint, I know that sounds horrible to say it that way, but it was a twister, because we didn't have any way to really put it into terms that we could even start to understand. So we went through everything from military holographic projections into the sky, to high-speed drones, to bugs or birds or anything that we could have misinterpreted. We really tried to debunk our experience, and ultimately it was undeniable. It was a pretty long experience. 2.5 minutes is a long time to be witnessing something and be able to film it in the sky, especially over Seattle, you know. So it was relatively undeniable evidence, you know, that we could sink our teeth into. And I think that that's really where we got our foundation to kind of say, hey, there's something else going on. You know, if the military doesn't know what it is, MUFON's stumped. You know, all of the 3-letter, 4-letter agencies that I had access to were either not giving the information up or didn't know what it was legitimately, you know. ADB tracking, there was nothing in the sky. It wasn't something that I'd misidentified. So David, that was a stumper. It was really something that turned me on to figuring out how to capture this stuff and be able to have evidence that was substantial, not just a still blurry image, but something that I could, you know, take to Congress if I had to, and lo and behold, here we are years later, and that's what's at our doorstep. So
you came in this kind of during that UAP trend in 2017 that started. You were a real UAP guy. You and I butted heads numerous times about UAP versus UFO, and we had some, very good, heated discussions about that. I'd never say it was an argument, because it never was, but heated discussions regarding that. And you're an evidence-based guy. You were very nuts and bolts about everything. Are you still that way now, or have you changed?
I'm still that way. I feel like that's something like a leopard can't change his spots. And so I'm still that way. However, I accept that not everything falls into that bucket, but what it's taught me is that there are actually ways to reach into that bucket and scoop up a little evidence that's in the fringe of what people would call science. So I think I've had to relearn a lot of things, unlearn a lot of things also. Some of the things that are instinctual, I had to unlearn. My eyes are not right. They're easily fooled. I know that. The same way somebody can be very convincing in person, so can the phenomenon. When you meet it, it's unpredictable every single time. And so I've had to adapt how I go about collecting information while I'm experiencing these things. So I originally started out with an RV that Terry Hall, a good friend of yours and mine, helped me to adapt into a mobile unit that I could take to search for UFO, not UAP. Let's be clear, UAP is not what I was looking for. And so I took that for three to four, I think it was 3 years. We spent on the road collecting data all over, anywhere that would allow us to go. And, what that kind of taught me was, wow, there's a lot of information to be collected when you're out at a hotspot. And when it happens all at once. And what it also seems to do is confuse you in the moment, because of how you're like, how am I going to record this? You're overwhelmed a little bit by it's actually happening. you've got other people potentially around you reacting, and their intention and their reaction seems to have an effect. I mean, I know there's a lot of weird catchphrases I'm using here, but a lot of this seems to kind of pan out when you're actually in the field.
Your mind expanded over since you were a part of SOR, and your mind has led you down some dark paths, some interesting paths, some good paths, confusing paths, and we're going to hit on that a lot coming up here in the next half hour. But how have you been able to make peace with yourself in the fact that what you're seeing, you may not be able to tell a story to, and you have to try and make a story, out of something you can't explain?
So I've never said this, but I think back in the day, I was reading Aldous Huxley and books like that and tried to experiment on those lines. And I think you kind of got to phase into that way of thinking when it comes to this. You just have to let yourself be in that moment and just trust the gear that you have, trust your intuition to help you capture it. It's a little bit like being an artist, being in that moment and letting it happen and not reacting so much as letting it flow through you and just doing. That's something I think is new to me, because for me, filtering the fear has been massively hard. And I ask everybody I come across that's a professional in this field, how do you handle the fear? Because that's been my biggest hiccup. Because it's been confusion, fear, and then I haven't been able to operate as a professional in the moment, and so how do you cope with that? And how do you cope with the lingering effects of feeling like you dropped the ball, or even just coming in contact with something that close, period? So, yeah. A lot of times, Dave, I will feel in the moment like I can only compare it to like a horror movie where somebody has that moment of recollection where, oh, expletive, I'm in the wrong place right now, and there's nothing I can do about it. It's like I've just stepped over a cliff into the abyss, and there's nothing I can do about it. So I'm just going to have to experience this. And it's rough. It can be rough. And so clearing your mind and just trying to collect the data is something I'm still working towards perfecting. I know where to go. I know how to find it, but I don't know how to interact and collect data perfectly yet. So
you've changed as a person over the last couple of years. I think we can both agree on that. You have, this is a hard interview for me because there's been a lot of personal conflict and conversations between you and I the last couple of years since you left SOR. And it's something that, I never wanted to happen, and I know you didn't want to happen, but unfortunately sometimes those conversations do have to happen. And, I'm not going to get into full detail of those conversations because they're private between you and I, but I have noticed a change in you, and I think it's for the better. I do. The last few times that we have talked, and we've only really started talking again recently, I've noticed a big change in you. How have you changed over the last couple of years? Because the person I thought I knew wasn't the person I knew, but the person I'm talking to now seems more like the person I knew and liked, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I think I've come out the other side of this, still the same person, just with a deeper understanding of kind of some of the questions that I had going into things. I didn't know the questions that I was going to have, and I didn't like them as I was asking them. And that's probably a lot of what you were exposed to. I'm being very vague in my explanation, but I think you kind of get it. It's rough. Change isn't easy, and a lot of that I remember coming out of the woods and telling you not to share any of it. I didn't want to talk about it. I didn't want you to post any pictures. I wanted to forget it. I just wanted to get the project done and move on with my life, but I didn't want anyone to ask me any questions about it, ultimately. And I'm like, don't put any pictures up. You remember, probably. I was a freak about it. And it was just because I didn't know what we were going to do with it. I didn't know how I was considering just like letting you guys just have everything and just never talking about it again. And what happened was I learned that what I really needed to do was dig into why I was feeling that way and figure out what the source of that was, because it wasn't my group. It was the experience, right? It was the experience. And so I needed to dig deeper into that and recall it all and work through it and be able to talk about it with people that are not necessarily in the UFO world.
Right.
And, the fancy enough, you can have this conversation with anyone. Most people are open to it. It depends on, how you approach it with anything. But the fact of the matter is that an experience is your brain's interpretation of the world around it. And you can't be too steadfast in anything that you're seeing, I think. And so if you go into these conversations being flexible, not being like, I saw a Bigfoot. Instead, you're like, here's what I actually experienced, and this is how it made me feel. I think that those are getting closer to some of what this is all about, perhaps.
And with 2 minutes to go here before we go to break at the bottom of the hour, let's be honest. This cost us our friendship.
Yeah, I didn't want to talk about it. Yeah.
Yeah. For a while, it cost us our friendship. And that is something that you and I are publicly discussing here. I never thought we would. I never thought I would kind of take that angle. But, let's just get the truth out for the audience. We're going to get more in depth on this, Tim, regarding how this happened, because I think the people have an understanding or a need to know that this wasn't about you being a jerk. I was going to swear there, but I didn't want to. It wasn't about that. It wasn't about me or the people we were working with being jerks either. It was something where there was just major disagreements. You had already left SOR before this happened, so it wasn't an SOR thing. But I really want the public to know, because I still get a lot of questions. Where's Tim? Why is Tim not doing the UFO report? How come Tim left SOR? Was there a falling out between you guys? And there were some pretty uncomfortable questions asked my way as well, my man.
Yeah, and there was no loss of love between us at any moment, or any team member for that matter. We always are brothers, but professionally we were frustrated because Tim just unplugged. Dave was like, what's going on? What's going on? I thought this, and this. And Tim is like, I want nothing to do with this, really. I'm just like trying to get this done so I can move on with my regular life. And I think I explained that, and that was helpful for you to hear. But what happens for me is I just bottled it up, and I unplugged. So lack of communication, nobody knows what Tim's doing. Well, Tim was coping, trying to figure out what the next realistic step is. Because I, in no terms, was going to go back up to BC.
British Columbia changed you. And we're going to explain why when we come back on Spaced Out Radio. Tim Senor, film director, UFO experiencer, how the phenomena changed him as a person. It's real, folks, and you're getting the real story tonight from someone who's experienced it on the mighty SOR. All right, we're clear. Hey, by the way, chat room, did you like the new intro? And how do you like the chat being seen on the screen? I just found that feature tonight. I kind of like it. Griffin, how are you doing? J-Cat, nice to see you again. Holy cow, big dog. Seriously? Wow, dude. You're amazing tonight. We'll do our best. Wolverine, how are you doing? Cletus, Arizona, welcome to SOR Chat, my man. Another Arizonan. Lots of Arizonans. Yeah, we like Arizonans. I still like the powdered iced tea, man. The Western family iced tea that come in the big round powder containers. Oh yeah,
Love it.
you've had it here. I've made you one.
It's the best.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
I'm still trying to figure
how
out
you doing?
how to
Sorry,
DoorDash. I'm trying to figure out how to DoorDash Tim Hortons down here.
Dude, you need to get some Timmies down there. When I introduced Tim Senor to the ice cap, oh yeah. Oh yeah. First one's free. Oh yeah. Yep.
Hi, Tim. How's it going, Tim?
It's so good to see you, buddy. How are you?
Not bad. I'm drawing cartoons, if in case you didn't notice. It's about aliens.
I love it. I love
Careful,
it.
he's dirty.
He always has been.
You know what the coolest thing is, Tim? The space bar is thriving.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Where is it? Where is it thriving?
I've been drawing cartoons about it for about 10,000 years now.
Oh, I love it. I can't wait to see the stack.
It's pretty big. I'm not
Oh,
gonna
man.
lie.
We should move
You'll
on
have
it.
to,
It's time. It's time.
You'll have to shoot me a message. I mean,
Love to.
I'm going to have to spam you with 10,000 drawings, basically. And also, there's plush aliens and Sasquatches and everything like that being built as well. It's out of control now.
Where can we get your new book?
Well, there's been a situation.
Oh, no. Okay.
Adobe's really lame, so that's all I can say.
Say no more.
Yes. So, but there's still a million cartoons and also a billion plushies and junk.
The space
Get
bar.
some of these characters, Tim. It's gonna be hilarious. You're gonna
I
chuckle.
love it. Can't wait. Can't wait. Reunion.
Yep. It's I actually don't have anything handy because I've grown up and I've properly placed all my art in proper dated time folders and everything. I'm a
Excellent.
big boy with my cartoons now.
That's what I like to hear. Are you digital or is it still all analog?
It's all analog. However, everything's all in TIFF and PNG and all that terrible stuff and naming conventions and computers and typing.
It doesn't smear though, so
Nope.
love it.
Anyway, this cartoon here, we got Carl, Alan, and Stanton at the Zeta Mart, and they're grabbing some snacks on Fabrice's credit card, which they don't believe Carl acquired, truthfully. So
I love it. You've got names. I love it. You're getting deep.
also, hey Tim, if you're bored, got nothing to do on Saturday, 2 p.m. Pacific-ish, just jump onto Spaced Out Radio and watch me draw cartoons for about an hour or so.
Very cool.
And you can ramble to me, and I'll try to make sure I keep up with the chat. It's difficult. I've only done it once so far. It was really sloppy the first time.
That sounds fun, dude.
I know.
That sounds really fun.
Okay, but I get a whiskey here grumping me. I'm going to sneak out for a quick cat snacks. I'll be right back.
Do
All
that.
right. Let us do us a favor and praise Terry Hall's mustache. Yeah, Terry Hall with the, I'm just going to give you a hat tip to that mustache, Terry Hall. Man, Big Dog, you're going crazy. How much have you missed us, Big Dog? Holy cow. Big Dog times 9, T-Bone, Mel WD-40, and Kitty Caddywhack, thank you for the lovely super chats. Greatly appreciate your love and support. Here comes the second half hour right now. Here comes the second half hour, Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you very much for tuning us in, wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hey, we want to remind all of you that if you missed portions of this show or others, you can check out our free archives on YouTube or any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Tim Senor is our guest, formerly Spaced Out Radio's UFO reporter, along with film director. He's an experiencer as well. Now, in the last half hour, we were talking about how something happened here in British Columbia that really affected and almost broke up a good friendship. And it's all due to the phenomena at hand. Now, you have heard us talk about Flight 21 numerous times, especially recently with Tim James and myself hanging on out at Flight 21, starting our project out there, our research. Now we're putting, slowly putting videos out. Video number 2 will be out next week on that. And this goes back a little bit of time. Let's rewind to 2023, where myself and Tim Senor came up with the idea. Too many Tims around here. All right. Myself and Tim Senor came up with the idea, along with Merle and Samantha Mowat, to do some filming at Flight 21. Tim Senor had heard about this location from me, and he's like, dude, let's just go out and shoot it. And the repercussions of that are 2 years in the making for Tim, because it changed him. It changed who he was. It wasn't what he expected. So let's go back, Tim, in time here. 2023, you are the UFO reporter on SOR. You then have to step aside because you want to concentrate on your family and other projects, which we absolutely agreed with. And there was no harm, no foul there. We continued our friendship, and we talked and longed about the day to get up here and do some filming out at Flight 21 to kind of start an adventure that possibly could lead to a television sizzle reel and maybe something more in that. Let's start from the beginning, because we have no time limit on this topic. And do you remember how excited we were for those days?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And you allowed me to handpick the crew that I would bring up. And so I, of course, reached into my back pocket and brought somebody that was a longtime friend and filmmaker companion that I went to film school with. We worked side by side for years at the Academy of Art University as educators and students, as in the master program. And then we went on to work professionally, locally. He did NFL films, and I went independent. And I was able to bring him on, and he brought his right-hand man, a guy named Tanner, who was a drone operator. And so I felt really prepared. I had someone I trusted. Rich is ex-Marine. I was like, this guy is going to be able to think on his feet up there. No matter what happens, he's the right guy for the job. So I kind of understood what I was getting into. I've filmed in really rough locations before, and I was just thinking as a filmmaker at that point, how am I going to document this stuff as we're rolling through brush. And so that was what I prepped for, and that's what we got. And so, it was high spirits. Things were going great. The locations were beautiful. We had some hiccups, with gear, but nothing, through customs and madness. But ultimately, we got there and we were prepared. And Dave, everything went pretty smooth. We're digging through the brush. We're single file. We're well protected. We've got somebody riding shotgun.
Let's take it right
Go
before
ahead.
that, because when we started taking you up to the location, one of the first things we saw was a pack of wild horses.
Filmed it. Yeah, filmed it with a drone, in fact. Dynamic, beautiful footage. Yeah, and I mean, that right there tells you what kind of a place we're getting into. The wildlife is pretty comfortable with you, so if you're going to meet up with something any size or shape, it's not going to care whether you're there or not. It's going to be and do whatever it does.
So we get to the location. We're all excited to set up, and there's a little bit of tiffing between Merle and myself on where we should go, what we should do, and that's just Merle being a hothead and me being a hothead, and that's something that we both love about our friendship, is the passion between that we have on where to take things and where to go. When you got up to the location, you were excited, you were very much energized to get started. We packed in, and then we decided to go off onto a trail way in the dark. Remember, we put the glow sticks on. We put a glow stick up in the tree, and we come to this meadow and set up. And that's really where I think it started for you. You were in amazement when all of a sudden here we are in the middle of nowhere in a little meadow, and paranormal equipment starts going off. And people are hearing disembodied voices of male, female voices, loud enough to hear but quiet enough to not make out what they are saying. What was your memory of that?
Yeah, so at this point, I had been in the field quite a bit. And so I know how tech operates. And most of the time, I'm pretty clear-headed on what to do, as things are happening. And we started to get little things happening that were a little out of my wheelhouse because I'm not typically a ghost hunter. Most of what I film is far away. And I am kind of a specialized guy for UFO, looking for stuff in the skies. So to kind of shift my attention to things that are right up close in the forest around me was a new kind of investigation. So when we have the rope sensor lights that are sensitive to RF and we're getting fluctuations in RF out there, well, that's strange. There should be no roaming radio frequency or any kind of magnetic waves that are throwing that off. It wasn't our phones, it wasn't our tech. It was legitimately something that was interacting with our tech out there. And another moment was we had hung glow sticks in the trees pretty securely, and one had definitely been taken down and moved pretty far from the tree. It wasn't just a drop, unless it would, bounced off something. But it was a pretty, couple feet away from where we'd hung it. So I was already curious. I was in awe also, because it's an absolutely gorgeous part of the world. And you suddenly see how small you are and how completely vulnerable ultimately you are, because you might as well be in space because no one's going to hear you scream.
That's a good point. That's a very good point. Yeah. Tim James and I live that every time we go up there. But here's the thing. Let's break this down a little bit further. What was your thoughts on Samantha Mowat?
Yeah, well, she's definitely a real intuitive. I'd never met anyone that had that real ability before. I didn't really know what to expect. So when she would just say things about me or talk to me like she'd known me for years and years and years, or point me in a direction to things that are interesting, I was like, is she just really lucky? No, she's just really intuitive. And it's not just intuition, it's almost seeming like precognition, which is a very interesting thing. And I don't know if you say that out loud as one of her abilities, but I definitely saw it and I filmed it. So at some point when you want to get to the point, I'll talk about that.
She is, and I had forewarned you that she was the best kept secret in ufology. And very serious about what she does. And she is absolutely brilliant in everything that she does. And she called it. And numerous times she was checking up on you to see if you were okay. Because she goes through a test with new people that she meets. How do you think you're going to react in front of aliens? How do you think you're going to react when things start happening? How are you going to react? And you went through all of those questions with her.
Yeah. Yeah, she is very empathetic. Absolutely. She knew how I was feeling all the time. She was checking in on everyone, not just me. But also just a genuinely interesting person, so friendly and easy to be around, which is so great to have as a crew member. Like, unless, and this is such a weird thing to say, she is the kind of person that also doesn't just give information, it seems, unless it's really necessary. You have to ask her for information, kind of like an oracle. I guess I would compare it to that, which is interesting. I also was not prepared for that kind of experience.
What about Merle? Your thoughts of Merle?
Merle is everything I want to be in a filmmaker in this field. He is so cool-headed and like dedicated, full of energy. He's well-rounded filmmaker. He's so skilled in the edit and just a genuinely great guy. Never says no, like, to anything. Also awesome. Like, he'll go and do anything. Fantastic team member. You couldn't have chosen a better guy. He's so easy to be around and knowledgeable. I mean, come on. Yeah.
So back in the forest, after we heard those disembodied voices, then Merle sees that big shadow being and then calls it to pull down one of the glow sticks. What was your thoughts when that happened?
Skeptical, as always, right? Again, I'm always not believing my eyes, and I'm waiting to review the tape. I'm like, did we get it? Like, asking my camera crew, did we get that? Like, I don't believe the experience, right? And that's a big problem for me, right? Because at some point, that's going to catch up with me in this story that we're talking about tonight. So at that point, I was still looking for reasons why that would happen, other than the phenomenon.
You gotta admit, that was kind of weird when that glow stick came down. There's nobody out there. I mean, I remember you checking in numerous times. Are you sure there's nobody out here? Are you sure that there are no people living in the trees or camping out here or whatever? You were very wondering about that.
And let me interject here also. Meanwhile, we're hearing like tree snaps, and we haven't even gotten to the part where we wandered around. I'm sure we'll get to that. But there are things happening in the woods at the same time as all this, and it's perfectly still. You know, there aren't creatures, little creatures. These are big sounds, big cracks, and other sounds. And we were recording them, and we were reacting to them in real time. So when something falls off a tree on command, or when lights are reacting to your command, you start to wonder if something else is happening that maybe isn't so easily explained by your tech. It can be very distracting.
When you were, all of a sudden starting to see action happening, because we started getting action immediately up there. Were you prepared for that, or were you just going to go for along for the ride thinking film-wise, oh, this is going to be awesome. This is great. Look what we're getting already. And yet that was just the first inning, of a baseball game. That was the first inning.
Yeah, no, day one was not a problem. I was still into capturing it and just being like, this is great. It looks great. Like if we're capturing this, then, fantastic. I hadn't even really gotten into interpreting what potentially the reality of what was happening. To me, it was just cinematically gold, because I was like, look at all this evidence we're capturing. This place is awesome. Like, I've never seen it just react like this on command. That's just wild.
We go back to the main camp that night number 1, and we decide to do the Estes method. Merle goes first. We hear him, getting into a number of remarks that he's picking up. So for people who don't know what the Estes method is, that's where you blindfold yourself to take away your sense of sight. You then use noise-canceling headphones to take away your sense of hearing. The headphones are plugged into a radio signal called a ghost box, where you hear a bunch of radio signals down the FM dial that just goes tick, 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 in your ear. A lot of ticking. And then in those signals, if you hear a voice, you're going to hear what is alleged to be spirits talking. And up here where we live, and Tim can confirm, there is no radio signal. You're not picking up radio stations at all in that area, Tim. And you saw that.
That's right. And we confirmed it. Like, the only radios that we had were our handheld walkie-talkies, and those were all powered down. We weren't even using them because we were clustered around in a circle, making sure that none of our devices, including phones, were interfering with what we were trying to do. So yeah, that was legitimately just unexplainable.
Your perception of everything changed shortly after that, or started to change. Merle puts me under the Estes method. I'm not getting any voices whatsoever. But underneath my blindfold, I'm starting to see the heads of alien greys. I'm starting to see the eyes of reptilians kind of floating on by, just left to right, floating on by. And then I started seeing an orb underneath the blindfold, a really bright white orb. And I remember saying to you guys, I don't see it, I don't hear anything, but this is what I'm seeing. How did you go from me describing the orb to looking up in the sky?
Yeah. So this is definitely the moment for me where everything shifted. Because let's just flash back to the summer of 2022, what I like to lovingly call the summer of saucers. I spent a summer out at a ranch in Utah filming things in the sky. And lo and behold, Dave on the phone is able to call something out in the sky and tell our cameras where to look. And sure enough, there's an unexplained UFO in the sky right where Dave had told our cameras to look.
That was in Utah. That was in Utah.
So via phone, Dave was telling us in Utah where to look. And that was the summer of saucers previously in 2022. The very next summer, I'm in BC with you, summer of 2023. You're doing the Estes method, sensory deprivation. I can hear what you're saying, and you're talking about a ball of light. I can pick out words that you're saying. It's all being recorded. I'm standing with Samantha. I'm scanning the forest with a multi-spectrum camera, and sure enough, there's a massive ball of light that's just sitting above us, and it just starts to slowly come down into the forest as Dave is describing what he's seeing. And I wept. I wept in the forest with Sam standing next to me, explaining everything to me, that it's okay to feel this way, that all of this was meant to happen. I was meant to capture this. Dave is feeling this way. And it was just sensory overload. I didn't expect to capture that kind of evidence and to have that kind of experience all in the same moment.
Now, for the record, I didn't know that came down until afterwards, because I was under the Estes method, so I couldn't see or what was happening, and I couldn't hear what you guys were talking about. I didn't even know it was filmed until after. You said that it affected you emotionally, seeing that. Why did you tear up over this?
Well, because no one else could see that ball of light. It was in a spectrum of light that only I could see and that you could see in your head. And that, to me, was very clear that there was not necessarily a message, but I mean, come on. I got pretty much handed a gift, but it was overwhelming. You know, it's like putting your mouth on a fire hose and turning it on. Like, you cannot prepare for that kind of like circuit connection. You're like, okay, that just happened. And like suddenly you go from somebody that's skeptical but open to somebody that's like, okay, do I even want to be in this moment? Because everything's different from here forward. And it really was undeniable again. So you have these moments. And I think that was, an epiphany where I was like, okay, this chick's real. That guy's real. Those guys are real. And I just filmed it all. And nobody knows because it's in a spectrum that nobody can see with their naked eye. So it was only available to them upon review, which means that they're just seeing me cry through a camera, right? So to their perspective, they're like, okay, cool. Hopefully he didn't just lose it.
That was the start of the change in you, though. That's where,
yeah.
I mean, because in Tim's world at that time, and I'm using third person here for you, in your world at that time, that doesn't fall into the nuts and bolts category of the UFO subject, does it?
Well, so it does. So it did. That was like the nuts and bolts key in the lock where I'm like, okay, my tech is not lying to me. It's not my eye lying for once. So it was where the buckets blended, my expanded mind now is like, okay, this is okay to live this moment and this is real. So, when those circuits finally connected, it was a little bit of an overload and I just was not prepared, so it took me time. So I was not ready to talk about it with you or anyone because I didn't want anyone else's opinion. I didn't need it. I needed to review the evidence. I gave you guys a sizzle. I did my job and I was done. Like, I didn't want to ever look at that again because to me, it was like pretty triggering, for that emotion that I felt in that moment.
1 minute ago here, why were you scared?
Oh man, because they were coming into the forest. Simple.
It's still hard for you to talk about.
Yeah. You don't you want to see them up close and personal and then they land and you're like, wait, what's next? Am I really ready to be here? Was I really prepared? Like, I followed Dave. He's prepared. She's prepared. He's prepared. What if I'm not? I'm just a camera guy, skeptical scientist camera guy.
How close did it get to the top of the trees?
It went into the forest. It came all the way down into the forest clearly.
We're going to continue that part of the conversation here in a little bit because you're watching this through a psionics camera.
Correct.
And you were picking it up, and I remember you saying that it went from an orb of light into a ring.
Mm-hmm. Oh, man.
And then it just kind of vanished. And hold that thought. We're going to get into it because I can already hear your emotions kind of coming together on this. This is why we do this subject on Spaced Out Radio. Tim Senor is our guest. How the UFO phenomena can change a person.
This is Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott.
All right, Tim, we are clear. We're going to turn it over to Dirty Filth here. We got about
Beautiful.
about 5.5 minutes, okay?
See you then.
Hi, Shaq Valet.
Shack
Hello,
Filet.
Dirty.
Oh, Dave. Bye, Dave. Bye, Tim. My pen decided to die on me at the last second here. I get a little scrape in, it'll be all good. Johnny Dangerously. You know, Doug Shelby, sometimes when guys come to my work and I got a sign for something, I always sign it as Klaus E. Dangerously. Comical. We're at the 28th today, if I remember correctly. Got to date the cartoon here, folks. It's very important. It's the 28th of May. I normally don't write the month in there, but I decided to change it up a little bit. This is Carl Stanton and Allen taking Fabrice's bank card that apparently Carl got to take, or it was loaned. So I don't think so, but that's what he says. So I just draw the cartoons. Let's see here. What are we going to call this one? They're at the Zeta Mart, by the way. That's like the 7-Eleven equivalent in the city here. Let's just call it Zeta Mart. That's easy. Now, if anybody's bored, Saturdays, 2 o'clock Pacific time. It's coming to Spaced Out Radio. I'll be drawing a cartoon. I think I'm gonna have to show off one of the photos that one of my agents on the inside got for me, my contacts. It's another UFO photo, but you'll have to show up on Saturday to see it. Oh, wait a second here. I got my... Look at that. Love it. Well, that didn't work out very good. Well, now it's got character, so hope everybody's having a good night. Hi, Tim and Tim's Beard. Let's get the old cover on there. Make it look nice. Look at that. Fabrice Lomi's bank card. I hope you're telling the truth. Yeah, next thing you know, they'll be crashing UFOs in the desert somewhere, missing their turn at left turn in Albuquerque. Second here, I have to write letters, so you have to give me 1 second. Credit card. I was thinking of going with Cred Stick, but then I'm not sure who owns the Shadowrun world. They might still have more powerful lawyers than I do, so I'm just going to go with the credit card. Yes, there we are. Carl Stanton and Allen. Borrowing Fabrice's credit card and UFO going on trips. Absolutely out of control. It's almost done, actually, here. I got to meet our current guest, Tim Senor, one time in my life. It was a good time. I told him some stories. And him and Dave and I went to the haunted casino where there was lots of mob hits. I don't know if it's haunted or not, but it's where we seen a ghost. I'm just going to go with it because, we went down there and Dave went into this weird pit thing and we played some kind of strange go fish poker gambling type machine, a VLT is what they call them now. And we were down there, and there was one person in there, and then it was Dave or Tim or something mentioned that it was maybe haunted and whatnot and so forth. And I went back. I had to go run back and have a look, and nobody was there. So probably nobody was there, but I'm going to go with it was a ghost. It just seemed weird. That place had nice air conditioning, but it had a real weird, funky smell to it. Tim's not here to corroborate this story. Dave's out feeding the dogman and junk, so. There we are. There they are at the Zeta Mart getting their snacks. Carl's got his delicious sour blue raspberry squishy. Stanton's got beef jerky, because you can have beef jerky when driving around. And also, Alan's got his dill pickle flavored chips. They got dill pickles the green, purple is all dressed.
Very nice,
right,
Dirty
Dave?
Filth.
Okay,
Very
have a good night,
nice.
everybody.
Thanks, Dirty. Hey, we want to say a big thank you to Big Dog Times 9, Walter, T-Bone, Mel, WD-40, and Kitty Caddywhack for kicking off the Super Chat tonight. Jeff Steve Garvey is here. He'll hit a home run for you. Thank you for joining us. Don't forget, you can also shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag, so make sure you check it on out and get some of that new gear we put up there recently. I'm sure you'll like it. I could see you guys already chomping at the bit, going to the store, so keep that up. And here we go, everybody, with hour 2. Hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Our guest tonight, Tim Senor, former UFO reporter here on SOR. We're talking about how the UFO phenomena can change you as a person. Hey, we want to say hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. And what do you got for us, Clam? Oh, Obvolute. Obvolute is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets a password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Here's Tim Senor hanging out with us. First time in a long time that he's been on this show. And to be blunt, we're patching up our friendship. So I said, why not come on the show and let's explain what happened and why this is going on, why this is important. And Tim, I want to say thank you so much for being here tonight. It's so good to have you back on SOR.
Thank you. And, thanks for your audience. And the invitation's great. It's so much fun being with you guys. It really is.
All right, let's get right to it. I summoned down a UFO. You don't believe in summoning because of the whole nuts and bolts aspects. That's not really supposed to happen, even though I did something weird while you were in Utah the year before. I had told you to put your cameras up in an area and you guys caught a UFO. But to see it firsthand happen, I'm not trying to brag that I did it, but I knew I could do it. Just didn't know that it was going to show up at that time. And it affected you quite emotionally about it, where all of a sudden the nuts and bolts reality of this subject that you had kind of put into your brain was now in question. And you started, kind of, how can I put it? You got scared. Let's just put it bluntly. You got scared.
I did. And emotional all at the same time, because I was interpreting what I was seeing with my gear, and it was quite literally a ball that seemed to come into our atmosphere of light, just a ball of light. And in front of it As it was coming down lower and lower, it appeared like a ring opened up and it went through the ring and down into the forest, towards the forest floor, getting bigger as it came closer. And I mean, let's say if you hold your hand out to the end of your arm, your hand out straight, it would probably have ended up being about the size of a dime, which is pretty big by the time it was entering the forest. And, you know, I was emotional at the time because it was validating everything that I had been told, you know, that could happen. Your mind goes to what is now being called psionics. I'm thinking, is this real? You know, this was before it was termed that, right? So we were just like, this was an ability, you know. And I'm also interpreting what's next. I'm like, okay, so I've heard the stories. Am I going to hear like rushing in the woods towards us next? You know, we are already hearing weird noises in the woods. And we're in the middle of nowhere. And I'll say it like I said it earlier. Nobody's going to hear you scream out there. You cannot get help. There is no cell reception. One way in, one way out. So, you know, there's an element of courage and then there's an element of stupidity that suddenly creeps into your head where you're like, have I made the worst decision of my whole life being here right now? So yeah, fear.
Samantha calls an end to night number 1 because she says she just feels that there's some negative energy that moves in. So we decide to pack up, get out of there for the night, and go back for night number 2 a little bit more prepared. How did you feel when Samantha?
Well, let me interrupt you. While we were packing, I was still scoping with the psionics that night. And according to the footage, I actually captured a light that crossed across the path, like just a ball of blue light, very faint, but was picked up with a low light scope that crossed across where we were driving, would have been driving. So there was that activity that happened also that night, but please continue.
We go back, you're literally up all night with the camera crew, barely sleeping. Next morning, I remember you being very nervous, excitedly nervous. You were hiding it well about what had happened on night number 1. And just your thoughts about going into night number 2.
Well, I was pretty confident we were going to get more footage. To me, you know, Samantha had been super therapeutic talking with me for that, you know, through that. And so I was pretty cool with going back up there. And I was like, you know, I'm with the most experienced people, so I'm probably in good hands. But, you know, night number 2 started with an afternoon of creepiness, because what you would do is lead us in a long circle around, and we do like a grid sort of walk, which you kind of do when you're looking and searching for things. And on part of our walk back, I actually have a piece of footage.
Well, let's rewind that a little bit, because I started picking up something in the trees. And I called Samantha over because we were feeling vibration under our feet. And then we called you and our cameramen Richie and Tanner over. Richie could feel it, but Tanner couldn't because he was wearing his marine jump boots. You felt that vibration under the ground. What did you feel?
Like living in the Bay Area, it felt like a tremor. It felt like a very specific to an area earthquake. But at the same time, Samantha was hearing whistles, according to the footage.
So we decided to go for a walk.
Yeah.
And we walked down the trail. And if people want to know what that walk looks like, you could go on our YouTube channel and look up the video Tim James and I just did on cause and effect. and we actually take you down that trail, and we actually stop at the spots where things happen. And Tim, we go down that second path, which is probably, as the crow flies, about 50 yards from our vehicle and our base camp. If we could call it a base camp, I think that's the proper terminology of what it is. Now, at our base camp, we have about $30,000 worth of camera equipment. We have all of our food, all of our beverages. We have all of our supplies, our safety supplies. Everything is right there. And here we are on a 90-degree angle, 50 yards as the crow flies over the trees in order to be where we are. We continue down this path, and we can hear things kind of cracking on our right side, not on our left, which would be the campsite, but on our right side. And then all of a sudden, way off in the distance, there's that roar. Your thoughts when you heard that roar?
Yeah, I was hoping it wasn't what everyone was saying, that it was. We were walking in single file. Dave's in front of me, Merle and Samantha. I'm in the back of you guys following you really tightly. And I've got Rich right behind me with the camera right over my shoulder, and then Tanner holding for sound. And I can tell that they're capturing it. And Rich whispers, "Timmy, I'm not happy." And I'm like, "Really, Richie? Which of the dwarves are you?" And he starts laughing, and I start laughing, and we ruin the shot, like completely ruin the moment, because I just instinctually reacted with humor in the moment. But anyways, yeah, my reaction, especially, I mean, when we go back and yes, there's laughter, it feels like it was because we were all kind of freaked out. You react with a joke sometimes when you're uncomfortable with a situation. And so that's what looks like the footage is. That's kind of how we reacted.
I remember you saying, "What was that?"
Mm-hmm.
And Richie, our cameraman, followed up saying, "What was that?" And I said to you guys, "Welcome to the world of Sasquatch." And then do you remember how the cattle in between wherever that roar was and where we were, there's free-range cattle in that area, and they started going nuts with their mooing out of fear.
Yeah. Yeah, as if it was something they were familiar with already and had a reaction. Yeah.
So we decide to go back to base camp after that. It's about 7:45 at night. I'm in the lead. You're in the lead. I'm second. And then all of a sudden we hear that grrr coming from our base camp. I don't know about you, but I turned absolutely yellow belly when I heard that.
Yeah, and here's the weird thing. Not all of our team were hearing that. Someone was hearing it as a whistle. Somebody heard it as a growl. The camera picked it up as like a whistle. But yeah, the really weird thing also happened with what the camera team was filming, right? Isn't this where we filmed?
Well, shortly after that growl, we decided we had to hustle back because we thought there was a bear in our camp.
Yeah.
And so our armed guard kind of jumped in, and he was a little bit too excitable. And we ended up nicknaming him Rambo.
Yeah, very protective.
And
well, I was a chicken too. I was very happy to at that point, I was happy to have a shotgun take the lead. I know that's not how you work, but
yeah. And that's where I was looking kind of as the crow flies towards camp, because the last thing we needed was a grizzly bear walking through the trees towards us. So I was watching for a bear, and that's where I saw the big brown thing sitting in between the trees, realizing that there was no fur on it and that it was a metallic brown. And I remember stopping and saying to you guys, "What the hell is that?" And the weird part about it is you guys didn't see that. I saw it. You guys couldn't see it. And even though it was right there, just like I'm looking at you on camera, 6 other people could not see it. You guys kept going because Samantha saw something walking through the trees. Now, Tim, I'm going to ask you a very difficult question. Without the camera, what did you see?
I saw nothing. I only saw things in the still frame that Tanner showed me. That's when I saw something. And he showed me a still photograph of, and I'll just say it, what looked like a group of aliens standing in the woods.
Now, Samantha saw one alien about 6 feet tall walking through the trees. Merle saw it. Mike saw it. I know that Richie and Tanner brought their cameras up. I swore you saw it too.
So I actually don't know if I did or not. I know I was looking in there. I saw a lot of movement. I saw things that were brown and green, but it was very confusing what you were pointing at. And so I didn't know quite where to look. So I might have looked at it. I don't know if my brain registered it. I do remember feeling like it was the moment. But I didn't see anything until I saw that beautiful photograph that Tanner had of him. And that was pretty much where I was like, yeah, that's what I was looking at back there. So in retrospect, I knew where I was looking and I saw it, but it wasn't registering in my brain what I was looking at. Does that make sense? Because I was looking right there.
I never saw the alien.
Yeah.
I know the others did.
I was looking right there and we definitely captured it. Yeah. It's still a mind bender because I was also hearing different things than you were hearing at the same moment. We were interpreting sounds differently too. So this is why it's so tough to investigate this, because we are all interpreting it differently, and really without our devices, the experience becomes a little less valid. And that's again why I circle back to the first thing I said on the show, which is I've always valued my evidence over the experience. And I know that it's not a popular opinion, but this is a beautiful moment of explaining why I feel that way. Because I know I was there in that moment and I looked at something, but without that evidence, I wouldn't be able to explain it. Same thing with my initial experience with my family, same with a bunch of stuff that's happened to me since. I'm leaning heavily on the devices around me to explain the story and experience that I have.
I remember a conversation you and I had afterwards where you had told me that you had seen the alien. Now, I'm not trying to call you out, but I'm going to ask you it this way. Are you afraid to talk about what you saw?
Well, so that's a bumpy road, right? Because I don't like having to explain myself. And I feel like if I had that experience, there would come a lot of explanation behind it, right? It's a very loaded question. Like I've explained to you, I definitely looked at it. I don't think it registered.
Okay, I'm not going to throw you under the bus with this, okay? I can sense your hesitancy, and I'm trying to be as cautious and as careful to your feelings as possible. But what did you see?
I saw something, a bunch of brown things moving that weren't the trees. Behind a bunch of leaves and bush. But there were things that were legs. So that's really creepy to think of the legs. If what I saw was legs, they were horribly creepy looking.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I know, and I'll be honest with you, I feel myself welling up in emotion right now because I didn't see it. I didn't see it. Okay, all I saw was a UFO. They didn't allow me to see them because I was looking when you guys said there's aliens. I think it was Samantha who said there's aliens in there. I couldn't see them. I went back to look for the UFO, and it was gone. And that was only of a span of maybe at tops 20 seconds. It was gone. And it scared me. And talk about the fear that you had with that encounter.
You just don't want to talk about it. I did not want to talk about it at all until like once Tanner showed me the screen and he was like, here, and I was like, okay, that's exactly what I saw. And then I was like, okay, well, you know, I thought I had seen. It was validating what I thought I had seen. But in the moment, I didn't know what I was looking at. And I'll just repeat that because I wasn't like, oh, I'm looking at aliens. I was just like, what am I looking at? Because it looked like it was all legs. It looked like all legs. Just like...
How many pairs of legs do you think you saw?
Like 6, 7. Well, 7 legs. I know that means that there was an odd number, but I saw like quite a and they were moving, all of them, behind. So like maybe there was 3, 4 of them if they have 2 legs each, but I don't even know what I was looking at. So they may not have been, you know,
and we got to remind people that was at 7:45 in the evening, and right up here, the sun was shining still.
Yeah.
This is in daylight.
It was a good photograph that Tanner got.
Why have you never released the photograph?
So many reasons. Just that, first of all, Tanner is in massive denial. And he was the guy that took the photograph. It was really hard to even get that from him and the drone footage. You know, we paid him and everything, but there were some things that he did not want me to have for the sizzle reel and figured I would make public and put in the sizzle. And he didn't want his name attached to it. Also, I think you might recall. He's like, I don't want to be the guy that photographed UFOs. And I'm like, why are you here? But this is, as I digress from your question, I personally wouldn't mind releasing the photograph, but I have to have permission, unfortunately, because it was not, you know, really my photograph. Yeah, I was there, but Tanner took it with his camera, so something to think about.
On how that affected you. Really didn't have time to digest after that night, because that night we did more experimentation. We took a deep breath after that happened. We all grabbed a drink. Samantha and I were kind of pumping with excitement. Samantha was all, and I mean this with all love to Samantha, because she was like, yay, maybe we'll get some more. Maybe they'll come visit us. And we could feel them around. We could feel them like being watched within the trees. I mean, we had lights when we set up that night to do more experiments. We had lights turning off, like light switches flickering off. You remember that, Tim?
Yeah, your house?
No, at the location. After
at the location,
UFOs, when Samantha went,
we had weird stuff happen at your house too, but that was maybe just amongst the film crew. But yeah, we had some technical issues with things that were fully charged, stuff like that. I had a flashlight that I've used for years. I couldn't get to work, and that would work great in the daytime, and it wouldn't work at night. Super weird. I think Rich was having some issues with his tech.
Hold that Hold that thought. We're going to continue this when we return on Spaced Out Radio. Tim Senor is our guest. How the UFO phenomenon can change a person. Next.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
All right, we're clear. You okay?
Yeah, no, I'm great.
I'm proud of
great.
you. I'm proud of you right now.
I've never talked about this stuff,
I
other
know.
than outside your team. So yeah, I mean, I just pulled the plug on you guys. I couldn't talk about that stuff. I really did not want an invitation back. And you guys are wanting a series and you go up every weekend. I think you're absolutely crazy. And
Crazy.
Tim, I know you're in there, Tim. And can you imagine the two of us in the same room with our heads together? What would that look like?
It'd be Wonder Tim powers activate.
I think Tim got the joke, but yes, Wonder Tim Powers. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I have so many bald jokes. Forget about it. It's Abbotsford. Is it Abbotsford? Is that?
That's where you flew out of.
Yes. Perfect. Cool. It's funny, in your audience, I should share this with your audience briefly. Dave is an icon in his hometown. As he rolls through in his vehicle, everyone recognizes him, and they know pretty much that he's a super friendly dude with a story to tell. And you can just, he rolls through Tim Hortons, they're like, you getting the blah, blah, blah? He'll be like, no, it's like, I got a buddy here today. And they're like, really? You're like a member of the family in your town. It's really cool. You got a good dynamic there. Yeah, you're obviously well loved in your hometown.
Mennonite Abe saying, I'm not going into the woods with Dave and Samantha. Just saying.
He's a smart guy. They're great people, but stay in the log cabin in town with them. Sip wine. Don't go in the woods. Just don't go in the...
Well, you know what happened to Tim and I that weekend when we went out filming for the first time was like 3 minutes after we put away our pointy sticks down the path towards the wreckage. So we're right in the middle of the circle. You know where I'm talking about.
I do.
And you know where I park my Jeep.
Yep.
So we're behind my Jeep, and you know how you can stare down the path to the wreckage?
Yeah.
I see a tan straight back running across the trail, jumping onto a log with its front paws, and then we hear the back paws. There's a mountain lion right there, dude.
You know what? Nature is such a good test of your skills as a camera person or to capture evidence. If you're able to capture wildlife with your cameras, you're going to capture the phenomenon because it's equally hard to capture things like that. Like, how often do you see something like that? That's an amazing story. Did you film it?
No, like I saw it out of the corner of my eye. I turn, I look, I see the streak, and I'm like, I point to Tim, right? What's over there, or said something like that, and
dude, he knew that you guys were there.
Gone. We heard the thump, the thump of the front paws jumping on a fallen tree, and then the back paws jumping on the fallen tree.
Yeah, that's the reality. The phenomenon is awesome, but the reality is there's real things that are stalking you up there also. He absolutely was stalking you guys. You're so lucky you left when you did.
Yeah.
Holy S-bombs. Tim, what is your reaction to that? He chuckles.
Hold on. Let me turn up your microphone.
All right, you got me there?
I love your voice, by the way, dude. You got a great, great voice.
He's definitely got a face for radio, trust me.
Thank you.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, no, it was pretty cool. And then I said to Dave, because we just packed away our pointy sticks, and I just said to him, I was like, "Yep, let's make some noise, and it's time to go."
Pointy sticks. What exactly are these pointy sticks? Is this your defense against mountain lions?
No, it's because YouTube doesn't like the term of,
The real
Another
term
term?
for boom booms.
A boomstick.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And Joe Monk in our
Pointy
chat room
sticks.
nicknamed them
Interesting.
Pointy Sticks.
Oh, that's good.
So that's why we call them Pointy Sticks around here. Blame Joe Monk. Hold on
No,
right
Joe's-
there. We're coming back in about 25 seconds.
Rock and
Big
roll.
thank you to Kitty Cattywack, T-Bone ×2, Big Dog ×9, Mel WD-40, Mennonite Abe, Walter, and Spicy Deb for the great super chats. Hi, Paisley Parker. How are you? Our store is open at spacedoutradio.com. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. And we're coming back in 5 seconds. Here we go with the second half of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. How the UFO phenomena can change a person. Tim Senor is our guest with his real-life experience. And we want to remind all of you that if you missed portions of this show or others, you can check out our free archives on YouTube or any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Tim Senor is here, formerly of Spaced Out Radio's UFO Report. He's a filmmaker, he's an experiencer, and we're getting real to the heart here of the real dynamics of what it's like when you experience the UFO alien phenomena and it changes you. Tim, thank you so much. I know this has been hard for you. It's been, I can feel your emotion. I'm feeling emotional too, but I appreciate you doing this. I think this is healing for all of us.
Yeah. And I mean, part of your disclaimer almost feels like it should roll into, and if any of you have been affected by any of the issues covered on this show tonight, please feel free to write in. It's kind of like that. It's very therapeutic talking about it. It's healing our friendship. Hopefully it's healing people that have had similar experiences. And that actually is the number one reason why I do this and talk publicly about it, although I have a complete aversion to it since day one. Even doing the UFO report, I think you remember me explaining, I'm not in front of the camera guy. I'm behind the camera. So for me to do this stuff, it's purely because I believe that this is really important. These experiences that I'm having, I feel like I'm somebody that can express things pretty well. So I might be a good person to express stuff. Like, this is real. It's real. And like, if I'm saying that, you can bet I've probably done the research behind it to say that. The experiences that Dave and I had changed me in a way that I couldn't explain at the time. It took me a full, 6 months to get my head even out of the experience, to like take a breath and be like, hey, I need to address this stuff. Dave was super helpful, giving me guidance the whole time. Like behind the scenes, Dave and I have never broken our friendship, and he's always been there for me. This guy right here, true blue friend, true blue. And I have other people like that around me too. Terry Hall, true blue. These people that care, about what's really going on, that don't care about all of the riffraff and all the clutter. They care about what's going on inside. And I appreciate you for that, sir. And honestly, me sitting here today, I'm able to talk about it, and express it as clearly as I can, and as honestly and as in depth as I can, so that people can really get an understanding of what took place up there that could actually tear two good buddies apart like that, and like have them just like in a moment of confusion pull apart. And that's really all it was, is a moment of my confusion, I didn't know how to cope. And so I just unplugged from that group, right? You guys are good. You're comfortable in the phenomenon. You're still visiting it on the weekends. That was something that was just, whew. And I recorded it and it was bombarding me and it was on call. You were calling it down like, Tim, I don't know if you've had this experience, and I'm talking to your co-host there, Dave. It's pretty intense. And when it happens quickly and a lot. And then it'll be quiet again. And you can't, it always catches you off guard. I was just telling jokes and then boom, something intense just like happens. And so that's why I do it, buddy. You know, it's because it's bigger than me. You know, I got to get over myself and talk about it.
We get away from that weekend. Do you think that the worst thing possible could have happened because you didn't have time to think about it? You had to go fly out of town immediately to another shoot because you were in emotional distress and you didn't even know it yet.
Yeah. And you bring up a great point. So I went back to a location I'd shot at many times, took a film crew I was comfortable with, meeting up with people, you know, that I felt I could work around. And that within days broke down and we had to cancel the shoot because, you know, mainly because the captain of the ship, this guy, couldn't get his head in the game, couldn't problem solve in real time. And that's the number one thing you need to do when you're dealing with this. I was in no position to deal with problem solving in real time. And I think that a big thing that I've noticed with, if you want to call it an interaction, is you leave kind of in a fog, or at least I do. My experience is that I leave in a fog. Even when I'm out shooting locally here, gathering evidence, the rest of that day, the rest of that night, maybe even longer, I might get vertigo, get in a fog, a couple other like real symptoms. You know, I log it, I journal, and I get over it. But there's an element to this that I feel interacts, doesn't want you to like be on the path to the truth. It's like, oh, I hate saying things like that, but people call it a hitchhiker. There's all kinds of terms that try to kind of generalize this thing, just tries to throw you off track. If you're like getting really close, you're almost there mentally, something will happen. You'll get distracted or you'll go into a fog. It's very strange. Some people like Samantha can stay in that wavelength and tune in and groove with it and understand it. For me, I'm overwhelmed by it. So yeah, I react by trying to stay silent until I can understand what's going on. So you guys saw that as, what the hell's going on with Tim? I haven't heard from him for weeks. And that was simply me recovering. Shell shock. I had to pull the plug on an important show so I could recover. You know, that's pretty significant. It wasn't just me. Everyone else on that shoot was also affected. Like, it wasn't just me. We filmed something while we were out there in Utah, by the way, right after you. We had another massive experience. Filmed something at Moon Lake, Utah, which was basically a craft that moved so incredibly fast. It took 2 cameras to capture it. And it was moving in a spectrum that you couldn't see with your eye again. Moved across a mountain range, high speed, and then shot up into space. Captured the whole thing with 2 cameras. Good old Terry Hall was there that day, along with Tom King, who was the second camera person, who was the Phoenix Lights camera person, just to drop that. So we were having experiences right after I left you. And then we went on to another location in Utah. Things were still heating up. I filmed a beam of light. Some of us feel like we can debunk it. Some of us don't. There was a beam of light in the middle of the desert coming from space. Only could see it with a Psionics multi-spectrum camera. Stood there for 40 minutes and it didn't move. You know, a lot of weird stuff. Dave, it wasn't just, you know, one experience. It was like boom, boom, boom. And so I just had to kind of just pull the plug and maybe reevaluate my career choices, if you want to say.
You ended up going to counseling over this because when you finally had time to sit back and realize that this really put you on a professional path of destruction, I think that's safe to say. I hope I'm not overstepping there dramatically. But you ended up getting some counseling over this because you just couldn't let go what happened in the British Columbia forest.
Yeah, I think I had paused all of my work. I was in a rut. And I decided that, therapy would be a good choice. And I'd heard that, people had had success with that. And I was planning on talking about this topic at some point. So once I got to know my therapist months in, I decided to break this experience down, starting with my family's experience and our understanding and by this time he'd gotten to know me. So he knew this was something that I was considering in my world, and having a hard time interpreting. I wasn't calling it a reality. I was just calling it something that happened. And I showed him stuff that I'd collected, and he's like, wow, I've never seen a photograph or a video like that. And so having a conversation about this topic with somebody that's open and has a degree in medicine, if you want to consider that important, was helpful, because really what that person ended up telling me over quite a few weeks was that it was something I needed to investigate, which is what I had been doing. And, curiosity is just fine. It wasn't unhealthy. The things that had turned unhealthy, I could easily remedy. And that was just by simply unblocking, those blocks that I'd put up, recommunicating with people like Dave, and explaining how I was feeling instead of just shutting down. So, I learned as a person, that I wasn't perfect as well. But in this situation, I think what it really taught me is that this topic doesn't have the stigma we think it has. Psychology and people that are in this field aren't looking at us like we're crazy. They're thinking, like us. It's possible. It's in the news. We can talk about it. And so it was really great to be able to have open conversations with somebody that's not in this UFO field about this topic, and having a real conversation, because I'm not a believer in UFO. Even with all these experiences, I've seen it. And I still, to this moment, I'm not a believer. Now, I'm open to anything. And I'm pretty sure some of the stuff I've seen is otherworldly. But it's not something that you need to believe, right? You need to be open to it. And that's my opinion, right?
Are you still in denial about what happened in British Columbia?
Definitely not.
Or have you been able to accept the fact that you saw things that shouldn't exist to the human eye and the human brain and psyche?
Mm-hmm.
Have you been able to admit that?
Yes, 100%. And I've since filmed ghosts too. So I think that's also possible.
Looking back on everything, and I know there's a bunch of stories personally that we're not going to share tonight because it does involve the family, and I don't think you're quite prepared for that, nor is that what this conversation is about for right now. But overall, everything that has happened over the last couple of years, why did you decide to get help? Why did you decide to reach back out and push to try and make personal reparations where friendships were, they weren't broken, but there was definitely a rip in the paper?
Yeah, I needed my confidence back, needed my groove back. It had shaken who I was, as a person. I was like, I can't be so steadfast in what things are. I need to be more flexible. And, I think I was really burdened by my modus operandi, meaning I had a lot, and this is a big part of it, was that there was a ton of responsibility behind this mobile unit, right? a lot of maintenance, a lot of work, and a lot of data, right? And I was outsourcing as much as I can, but ultimately it's up to me to collate. So that was a ton of responsibility, and everyone's looking to me for that. It's a tough role to do at the same time as dealing with all of this other stuff. So what I did was, with the help of Terry, I downsized everything. We got rid of the RV. And what I do now is I literally took each piece of major tech from that and I downsized it into a pocket-sized unit that I now wear on a belt when I go to hotspots. I can literally wear a belt with all my devices, and working off of a laptop at the end of it, I can even have radar. So I went from an RV full of devices to a utility belt looking like Batman. Go to a location and get all the information that I would get with my massive RV. So lowering my commitment, I think, is super helpful. And I use that kind of in a broad sense. Being able to go in and out very quickly and not be too committed to a location is also super helpful, because it can be burdensome being committed to a location. You can go somewhere, it can be heavy. I know it's a weird term to use here, but creeping into the woo, it's nice to be able to just dip. Dave's location is a perfect example of where you might want to just roll out. And if you've got all your tools around you, you're gone. Nothing to look back for. And you've got all the evidence with you, you know. So I upgraded my Psionics camera to an Opsin, which I mounted to a helmet. So now I'm hands-free with that. Can be recording. It sees everything I see. One eye is recording, the other eye is using another device or reading off a computer. So it's pretty much military style. They're using it in the Ukraine right now, which is fantastic. And so I think the big upgrades have also helped me get a little closer to it. I'm getting great data now.
I do have to ask, you say that you're still quite skeptical of everything. How is that a defense mechanism for you so you can cope? Or
No. And I appreciate that. That's a good question. No, it's because 99.9 of what's out there is explainable. And I hear a lot of what's publicized being called UFO or UAP, which is even more cringe. And unfortunately, it's mostly explainable. There's a very slight amount of this reality, and it's a thin slice. You can see it. You can get a taste of it. It's horrifying. Like, I wouldn't recommend it. It's like looking, I don't know how to explain it. Like, I don't understand, like, people's obsession once they've seen it, like, to see it again, right? That boggles my mind. The fact that you keep going up there boggles my mind. If I didn't have shows that I was producing, I would avoid these locations like the plague, literally, because it is like the plague. Like, coming in contact with it, I'll call it that. It's not a positive thing in my experience. It has not been positive at any point. And the people that I take with me don't have good experiences. I think you can think of a few people in our close circle that have had direct effects that were not positive.
Well, I can tell you this. Our friend Rambo, who is our armed guard out there while we were out there, he went back to church after. That event scared him, and it affected him horribly. And because I remember, because he got right in front of us and he wouldn't move for Richie to get the shot. And he wouldn't move. He was a statue. And when I talked to him about that, he stated very sheepishly that he saw the alien. And he could not... It made him question his entire reality of life. It made him feel that for the first time in his life, he felt mortal and scared. And he ended up going back to church to try and find answers to what was going on. It really affected him adversely as well. So you're not the only one that has gone through this, and he will never go back to that location. He will never go
It's
back.
wild. And quite honestly, I do feel like I'm in this bubble. Like, yes, things did happen. I had these experiences, relationships were bizarre, but I have been in this bubble where things have been just glorious. I've been shown things I've never imagined. I haven't had anything negative happen to me personally or my family. Like, yes, I might have dreams. Yes, I might have things happening, but they're not terrible. It's not like negatively health or like life-changingly negative. But in those moments that I am experiencing these things, it's dark. And I'll just kind of lay it on like that. Like, these experiences aren't like, oh boy, like I know Sam is like all about it. She enjoys it and sees the positive and the light. And she tries to explain how that is what I'm looking at. To me, it's not interpreted that way. It's like, it's imposing, very imposing. And it feels like a lot of decisions have been made. And I was not a part of these decisions. You know, I'm like, I didn't ask to be visited. I didn't ask for them to come to our planet if that's what's happening. Like, I hope that's not happening, to be completely honest. And I hope they haven't been here forever secretly. That's terrifying. So I've heard all the theories and I'm open to them. I hope none of them are real. That's where I'm at with it, Dave, to give you the real. Like, I'm just hoping that what I'm uncovering isn't what I'm actually uncovering. Does that make sense? And every time I turn a page, I'm like, oh no. Turning the page again. Oh no. Here's some evidence. Oh no. But, it's stacking up. That's all I'm going to say.
Would you go back?
No, and you asked me and I've thought about it and it's a no. Would I hang out with you and come out and chill? Yeah, dude, I'd meet you like anywhere, just not in the woods, not in those woods in particular. Like, it seems wherever you go, unless it's Vegas, there's going to be a Bigfoot throwing rocks at us, and I'm cool with that.
Why wouldn't you go back?
Right. Well, that's not the kind of evidence I want to deliver. Like, I
But it's the real evidence.
Right, but I don't know, coming back psychologically each time, how healthy it is to be completely honest, exposing yourself over and over. Like, every time you expose yourself, it takes a piece of you. Like, it just does. And you're like also kind of tethered, if you want, to that experience, to that whatever that was. Whether it's a ghost or a Bigfoot experience or a UFO you saw in the sky or an alien in the woods. You're tethered to that thought, that photograph, that image mentally. And I don't think I need more of that from there. That place is out of control, feels like I don't have enough control over the location. That's why. 100%.
So in other words, you think Tim James and I are nut bars for doing what we're doing?
Yeah, because a shotgun's not going to help you. Sorry, a pointer stick. I apologize for having you have to edit every time I say that. Pointy sticks are not going to help you against these things. And it's not because they're going to come out of the woods and hurt you. It's because it's mentally taking a little piece of you, whether you want to admit it or not. And that's my opinion, because every time I see something, whether I capture it with my tech or not, I'm linked to that thought, that memory, that piece of evidence.
I'm going to ask a favor from you. Okay? I have a bunch of audience questions that I want to ask you in the next half hour. Do you mind sticking around for a bit?
Stay as late as you want me tonight, bud. I'm all yours.
All right, give us another half hour, and then we'll have Tim James will cut down the UFO report a little bit, but we'll bring Tim in too. This is Spaced Out Radio. Hour number 3 is next when we return.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Skip to Maloo. Happy birthday to you. Tim, I'm going to put you back in the green room. We'll be right back, okay? Be right back, everybody. You okay?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Good.
Yeah. Having fun. Thanks, man.
No, thank you. I mean that. Thank you. Hi, sweet Tony D. CS, how you doing? We're going to bring in Tim James for this portion, okay?
Excellent.
Yeah.
I look forward to it.
Let's see how 95-year-old looks here.
That's so
Hello,
cool.
Tim.
I love how you doubled up the studio. That is so cool.
Yeah.
Cheers.
We'll put you up here. Tim, I'm going to put you down below.
Okay.
All right. We got about a minute here. Thank you to Kira, Deborah Rooney, T-Bone ×2, Mennonite Abe, Walter, Big Dog ×9, Mel WD40, Kitty Cattywhack. Thank you for the lovely and amazing super chats tonight. Greatly appreciate your love and support. Yeah. Yeah, that's too bad, Human Carl, because I would totally take you out there.
Excuse me.
Mm-hmm. What do you guys think of the little chat room feature going on there? Let me know in the chat room. And thank you, Shogun. Very much appreciated. Here comes the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. We're having a great conversation with Tim Senor about what it's like to have the phenomena change you as a person. Hello, my name is Dave Scott. This is Spaced Out Radio, and we want to say hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, yes, and check out the swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Obvolute. Obvolute is your password. You know how many times I almost said ovulate?
Yeah, I can imagine.
Oh, God. Well, Obvolute is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. We're going to skip Swamp Dweller tonight because I want to get right into this. Tim Senor is still with us. We're now joined by our other Tim, UFO reporter, little Timmy James. You know, and we're going to continue this. And the reason why I brought Tim James in on this conversation is because him and I, obviously, we've been talking about this for weeks now, are now on our own adventure to Flight 21, a place that Tim Senor says he will never, ever return to in his lifetime. Mm-hmm. And Tim Squared, thank you for joining us. Appreciate that. This is the first time we've ever had double Timming on this show.
Both with cool haircuts.
Yeah, they're both bald.
It's a dream. Dream come
both
true.
Tims.
Yeah.
So let's get right to the questions here, okay? Because I think they're important here. And start off with T-Bone. Tim, was your nuts and bolts theory gone at some point?
No, definitely not. In fact, it's been confirmed that if I'm getting data on something from more than one piece of tech, it's really there. So confirmed.
Let's do a follow-up. Similar question from T-Bone. Is the nuts and bolts what shook you?
I think when I realized that some of it was the same. So, you know, that some of what I was looking at was explainable, and I was relieved. Every time I could debunk something, I felt a massive amount of relief, whether it was my evidence or someone else's. It's not something that I don't want to prove this reality, but every time I get a sliver that shows me that it might be real, I get shaken. Because I don't expect these results. I mean, I really triple check. When I go to a location, I go back every year and I do grid patterns in the same spot. I like to get the same results. I should get the same results. Like, I do repeatable science and I get unexpected information from these hotspots, whereas I can go 5 miles up the road and I'll get predictable data. I think that is crazy, that you go to a spot you know yields results that are dangerous, that I go to locations that I know are yielding results constantly. And in fact, you can put the right camera up and see something any time of the day in this place in Utah. Any time of the day or night. It's always there. Why? Well, I don't know, but it's definitely always there. These are what I'm trying to track down, you know, the nuts and bolts on. And when I get this information, it's a big piece of information. What is it doing there? Why is it always there? It's pretty big. Getting a signal like, hello, who do I show this to? Who do I trust with this information? Kind of a big responsibility. So yeah, it's pretty shaky, you know? Yeah.
Let's move on to Derek. Tim, what do you classify then as a professional in the ufology field?
Somebody that is open to new information. You're a professional at this as much as I am. If you're out there gathering information with your brain, looking up, taking pictures, asking questions, not burying yourself into anything. Like, there's so many rabbit holes. Don't go down those rabbit holes. It's a waste of time and energy. Constantly interpret the world around you and the information. I think that's, yeah.
This one's more for me. It's Paisley saying, Dave, what if you didn't bring the pointy stick and trusted love energy like your lady friend who's friends with the Bigfoots? Maybe they would trust you more when they don't smell weapons. This is what we do when we go into the forest. The first thing we do is we have no cameras, no nothing, and we explain to the cryptids that there will be no pointy sticks raised at them or anything to do with the phenomena whatsoever. Mm-hmm. In that area, unfortunately, we have to. It's for our safety. Like the other day when we had a mountain lion within 100 feet of us, maybe 150 feet.
Yeah, no, under 100, I'd say.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And Tim, I mean, you know, you have to be safe in those areas. When you're in an area where there's grizzly bears, black bears, wolf packs, mountain lions, 1,500-pound moose.
Yeah.
That, and you know what? People don't think of moose as being aggressive, but they are highly aggressive animals towards humans. That's what we tell the phenomena. We are here to protect ourselves from those creatures. We're not there to protect ourselves from the cryptids or the aliens or the UFOs or even the ghosts. You want to make a comment on that?
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. And yeah, it works out good. And the thing is like Dave says, there's far too much stuff up there that can harm you. But yeah, when Dave opens up, and Dave usually did start it last time, and that's the whole point, right? Where there is love and there is openness and there is understanding and all of that. We have a very good mindset when we roll in there. I think that our energy's at a good level, and that's the whole point. You're correct that way, but I think explaining before we turn the cameras on and saying, hi, we're here, this is what's going on, definitely helped, because it didn't keep away some of the stuff we captured on the Saturday either. So
that's very true.
Could I just highlight very quickly? I do have pointy sticks. I go out regularly here in Oregon to a place that's out in logging country. And I go out completely alone, and I take bear mace for animals, and the other stuff, there's nothing I could pack that would protect me. And if I'm going there, I'm exposing myself to that, right? And so I just go out there, I'm super open, and it delivers. I don't really worry about the bears. But also, can I just, with Pice has a good question here, but you and I spoke earlier, Dave. What do you consider is that perfect piece of evidence? Because you were like, I'm waiting for that perfect piece of evidence. I'm like, what would that be in your opinion? I'm sorry to like interrupt your
Oh, no,
flow.
please ask away. I mean, I think my perfect piece of evidence, I want to be within 20 feet of a Sasquatch. I want to be, that to me is the ultimate. I don't know if I would survive that. I'm not saying the creature would do anything to me, but I wonder if my mind, body, and soul could handle it. I've been within 20 yards of a UFO. I mean, you know how close that UFO was, Tim, on the ground.
Yeah, I think you were affected. I think we all were.
Yeah, and I think that with that being so close, it really, I think I would handle that better, you know, but I would love to be within 20 feet of a Sasquatch. And, you know, and I hope I would do the stupid thing, which would be to put my hand out like a friendly handshake or maybe a wave, you know, like, you know, just a quick, nothing fast moving or anything, but just to be able to say hi and thank you and, you know, be very grateful for that experience. And I don't even care if I ever got that on camera. I mean, camera would be a bonus, but I don't think that moment, every time I've pictured that moment in my head, it's never recorded. But you know me, I'm more selfish with my encounters. Like, I don't care if there's a camera there. I don't care for the evidence. I believe my eyes and I believe what I'm seeing, and that's the experience I would like to have.
This is the worst thing I've ever heard in my life as a producer. It's so cringe. It's like sandpaper to my ears. So I'll ask my question again. What is the perfect piece of evidence in your opinion?
Overall?
An evidence piece of evidence for the public that you can walk back with a Bigfoot's leg. Or you've got the video from our camera crew of you high-fiving him and having a banana sandwich with him.
I like a good peanut butter banana sandwich.
Evidence is what I'm talking about, because this is the thing
here's the thing
I'm kind of committed to. Go for it.
Okay, here's the thing. I don't think if we had the $1 million video of a Sasquatch playing Twister with me, okay, I don't think that anybody in the public would believe it. And I think because of AI, because of costumes, because of everything that has happened over the last number of years in technological advancements, combine that with skepticism, I don't know if that exists anymore. I don't think a Patterson-Gimlin type film or even something up close and personal, whether it's a UFO, whether it's a ghost, whether it's an alien or a Bigfoot or a dogman, I don't know if that would even suffice anymore. I don't know, and I'm being serious here for a second, I don't know what evidence is anymore. The skeptics all say video, but you produce a video, people jump all over it and say it's fake. People jump all over it and try and debunk it. People jump all over a photograph. And look, they've been hoodwinked. These people who are skeptical have been hoodwinked enough. Okay? They have. That's why they are the way they are. But I don't know what evidence is anymore outside of the personal experience. Go ahead, Tim.
The golden ticket is simply multi-platform evidence. Have a camera and a recorder. Have a multi-spectrum and a regular spectrum. do what we do. I have a film crew filming me do everything I do while I'm filming. I've got a film crew filming me just in case. All that stuff that we shot has never been seen. You know why? I can't put it all together at the same time because of the way the phenomenon works. It's incredibly frustrating. But at some point,
I agree.
Multi-platform evidence is going to happen, whether it's from me or the other people that are doing similar things, people that have utility belts in their backyards looking up in the sky. We're going to do it. And it's going to be from the public. Government, don't even bother. Nobody's doing it this way. You got to think outside of the box. It's not pure science, and you guys get it. But please, move on to your questions. Please, thank you.
Well, I thought it was great. Let's go to Tony here in the UK. Tim, very commendable on speaking out about your experience. Thank you for sharing. Which would you prefer, seeing Sasquatch or aliens? And do you think they are connected?
Yeah, I definitely think they're the same thing. I think all of it's connected. We just have called it different things. The people that have walked this planet for eons before us have been putting it on the walls, and we're trying to interpret it. I think we're overthinking it. They were literally just putting on the walls what they've been seeing. We're overthinking it. I think it's all connected. It's all the same thing. It's equally hard to experience. Which would I prefer? Oh, something, whatever it is, at a distance. With a really good telephoto long distance lens, you know. I don't know what else to say, but I get, honestly, aliens, because I think I've already come so close. I feel like that is the closest thing I'm to proving that there's something else other than us.
Let's go to Paramarv. It sounds like there's photo and video evidence. Are there any plans to release this in some form or fashion for the world to see?
Yeah, so I'm trickling it out. I've already trickled a bunch out. Whenever I can, I do. I'm producing my own stuff. It's going to be coming. You'll see it. There's a bunch out you can find right now. The really heavy stuff, I share amongst people I trust, I guess, if that's an honest way to put it. People that I don't think would like do something wrong with it. Because it's just bizarre. Like the real stuff is so coveted, I guess is the word, that I would rather see it channeled to the proper, through the proper channels to the right people that can make changes, and then let them decide how to disseminate it. Because if the world hears it from me, they're like, who's this guy? If the world hears it from someone that has confirmed it, that is of value, that sees that this evidence is undeniable also, it has to come from a voice that matters, because mine unfortunately doesn't. So I make shows that are entertainment, unfortunately, and has to go under sci-fi. So that's one thing that we still have to battle in this field, is getting our science out of science fiction, you know, and not just being watched by people that like Gaia TV or science fiction channels. This is a reality. It needs to be on National Geographic.
All right, let's go to another question here. Let's go to Kira. Tim, did the experience you had in Canada open up memories from your past, and now each experience is bringing you more psychic awareness?
Shout out, Kira. Yeah. And we talked about this in person. I met her and her wonderful husband, Mark, at the UFO Fest here in McMinnville, where we got to hobnob with some real great minds. It's a lot of fun. So this is a good question. Yeah, I guess that's fair to say. I'm really lucky when it comes to collecting data. If there's a light in the sky, I'm going to know about it, and I'm probably going to film it. And so I think each experience has taught me how to be more sensitive and aware and how to capture it. And so I wouldn't call it psychic, but just more awareness of how to do it, and that it's always there. You don't have to be a psychic. You just have to look. to be completely honest.
Let's get to another question from T-Bone. And this will be the last question from our audience tonight. Why are you in denial that you experienced this?
I'm not in denial over the experience. I'm just not ready to stamp a title on the experience. You know, I don't categorize things, and there's too many labels out there already. I don't know what I saw, so if I'm like, hey, I saw X or Y, that wouldn't be completely honest. I don't know what I saw.
You saw legs.
I saw legs. I saw what I thought were legs at the time. Well, at the time, I didn't know what I saw. So only in like afterthought, I'm like, that's what that was, because it matches up with the photograph, which is obvious.
All right, I'm going to sneak in one more question from new listener and new subscriber on YouTube, Sasha. And then we only got about 4 minutes here before we got to let you go. Do you think people would freak out to see visually the entire light spectrum, i.e. things we can't see normally?
Eventually we'd get used to it, but there's a whole lot of things happening all the time that we can't see. We're constantly being bombarded by all kinds of spectral, interesting things. And some of them are explainable and natural, but a lot of it, that is phenomenal and so far unexplainable.
You're not ever going back to Flight 21?
No, sir.
What if we dangled some licorice?
No, there's no amount of anything that I would ever know. I thought hard on it. Like, I definitely think you have a show. I would even produce it, but I would never go back.
What's your advice from one Tim to another? What's your advice to this Tim?
Don't just bother unless you really want the answers. Like, it's not once you open that door, it's just can't go back.
Makes sense.
And I'm just going to point out here for a second, I'm not forcing you to do this, but I'm forcing you to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Same way he got me up there. Same way he got me up there. I think like maybe they're like working in cahoots with this guy. Just saying, bald guys. Mm-hmm. Who knows what happened up there with me? Just saying. Do I have missing time? It was a really tasty iced tea, Dave. No, I'm just kidding.
It was an ice cap. It was an ice cap.
Tasted a little funny. Tasted
Driving
a little
into
funny.
The forest.
I'm just kidding.
So I have the side top, or I have the top down on the Jeep. Okay. And the windows down. It's like, I don't know, 68 degrees Fahrenheit.
Okay.
At night, it's starting to cool down.
Yeah.
Tim is shivering, looking for a blanket and other jackets to put on top of him. Mm-hmm. And I'm in a t-shirt driving back at like 2:00 in the morning. Mm-hmm. And he's like, I'm so cold. I'm so cold.
Yeah. Jeep's
even use the
heaters are
goat voice.
terrible.
Cold. But, on a serious note, with about a minute to go, we are being safe. Mm-hmm. We are, taking all measures of safety right off the bat, Tim.
Yeah, 100%. No, for sure. And we've been warned. We've been warned.
It's the silliness of it all. But we're going to see where it goes. And the one thing that we're not doing is we're not pushing the limits. No. We're just allowing the phenomena to do what it feels is right, like capturing EVPs.
Yep. Yeah. And we're just trusting our gut 100%.
It already has you. It already has you.
Tim Senor, I want to say to you a giant thank you for doing this. I know this was hard for you. It was hard for me. But I think with you telling your story publicly, I think it really resonated not only with a lot of people, but it was allowing some Band-Aids to be put on some old wounds in between you, me, and hopefully others that were involved. And good on you for doing that.
Well, I appreciate the invitation. And as always, there's nothing that I won't talk about. I'm super happy you gave me the opportunity to mend things, and it's been fun.
Tim Senor, everybody. Coming up next, Tim James and the UFO Report.
This is Spaced Out Radio and your host, Dave Scott.
A resident Timbit, the audience has missed you. Just letting you know.
It's
the audience
mutual.
has missed you.
Yeah, it's very mutual. Yeah, it's been too long. It's been way too long. You're all beautiful. So thanks for staying loyal, because you're all still here.
Oh, well, we got no place else to go. It's a Wednesday night in the boo, man. It's a Wednesday night in the boo.
I'm just recalling, you guys have quite a lot of deer that like to venture into your yards. And let me just say, you know what to do, right? Let's get bow. Get the bow out.
That's right.
I like the deer in my yard, though.
Yeah, but a bow, it's quieter.
Yeah, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
The equalizer, the great equalizer. I'm
just like
kidding.
when you're unloading, you always unload loud in the forest.
That's it.
Oh gosh. Yeah, it's the only place, right? Well, thanks a lot, guys, for this invitation. I'll let you get on with the show.
All right, buddy. We appreciate you, and we'll talk soon, okay?
Sounds good. I'll let you kick me
sir.
out. Great to meet you, too.
Much love, Timmy. Good job
All right.
tonight.
Thanks, bud. Talk to you soon.
Later. Tim Senor, everybody. That one was hard.
Mm-hmm.
That one was very, very hard.
And powerful, though. I thought it was very good.
That was hard.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let's shake it off.
Shake it off.
We did have a fallout over the experience, but that one won't come on air.
No.
Peppa H, how you doing?
Art can be good.
Good night, Kira.
Hey, Spanky. How was your day off today? I forgot.
I did some running around today.
Mm-hmm.
Sensational Sherry, how are you? Dave, would you consider making a beard pillow, like a feather pillow, but better? I totally could. What kind of beard do you want in that pillow? I've got 6 beards up here. Oh, man. I'm keeping this one for a while, though.
Yeah.
I'm liking this look.
Yeah.
I am liking this look. Thank you, Walter. The beard bags are just on this top shelf, but over... Hold on, I got to figure out how my fingers work. They're about right there. Thank you tonight to Shogun ×2, T-Bone ×2, Big Dog ×9, Kira, Deborah Rooney, Mennonite Abe, Walter, and Kitty Caddywhack, and Mel WD40 with the special loop chat.
Mm-hmm.
We appreciate that. Remember, folks, it doesn't have to hurt. Get your SOR lube shirt at spacedoutradio.com. I love that shirt.
That is awesome.
It's one of my favorite shirts that I own.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to hurt. 5 seconds. Here we go with the third and final half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you for being here and tuning us in for an emotional, charged show on the UFO phenomenon, how it changes a person. Big thanks. Big shout out to Tim Senor for being our guest for 2.5 hours on that. We're going to get to the UFO report with little Timmy James here momentarily. And first, we want to remind everybody that if you've missed portions of this show or others, our archives are always free. Tim, why are they free?
Because that's the way you want them, Dave.
That's the way I want it. We do not do any of this charging stuff.
No.
People pay for enough around here. Let's give something for free. That's what we do with our archives. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Here we go, little Timmy James in the UFO report.
That is an interplanetary flying space saucer. You have made me very angry. Very angry indeed.
Big story coming out of Washington, D.C. this afternoon.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I didn't expect this.
Neither did I.
And you know what? I'm just going to say we've called it on this show.
Yeah.
Not this event.
No.
But you have heard us talking many a times recently that the disclosure movement may be dead.
Yes.
And this tweet today has something major to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Take it to it, Tim.
All right, most definitely. So, we've all heard about Arrow, and we've all heard of Annapolina Luna. So, in a recent statement, Representative Annapolina Luna, a prominent figure in the House Oversight Committee and chair of the task force on the declassification of federal secrets, called for the defunding of Arrow, the Department of Defense's unit tasked with investigating UFO UAPs. Her remarks stem from her growing skepticism about Arrow's effectiveness and transparency in handling UFO and UAP investigations, a topic that has gained significant attention in recent years. So Luna's push to defund Arrow follows her involvement in a series of congressional briefings and hearings on UAPs, including a notable FBI briefing in May of 2025 that she described as highly informative. She suggests that another unspecified organization is outperforming Arrow and offering greater transparency, though she did not name that entity. Her comments reflect a broader frustration among some lawmakers and UAP advocates who believe Arrow has failed to deliver meaningful insight into classified critical information about UFO and UAP sightings. Critics of Arrow, including Luna, argue that its reports, which consistently state no evidence of extraterrestrial activity have been found, may be overly dismissive or constrained by bureaucratic secrecy. So the Department of Defense has not yet publicly responded to Luna's remarks, leaving uncertainty about Arrow's future, funding, and operation. As discussions around UAP and UFO transparency intensify, Luna's position underscores a growing divide between those advocating for open disclosure and those prioritizing structure, security-focused investigations.
We need to talk seriously about this.
Yeah.
Okay, because this is why for years, and I'm going to give the I told you so pat on my own back here.
There we go.
Okay? This is why for years I told everybody we were not in a disclosure movement.
Mm-hmm.
We are in a confirmation movement. Okay? Anybody who has any sense of understanding, and it's mainly experiencers,
Right.
okay, they knew that this Arrow program was going to fail from the beginning. We knew it was going to be a bunch of Chief Wiggum moments of nothing to see here, folks. Nothing to see here. Okay? I mean, who hasn't watched The Simpsons to see how correct they are in predicting things? When you got a dumpster fire going on, where's Chief Wiggum? Nothing to see here, folks. Nothing to see here.
Mm-hmm.
And Arrow is a dumpster fire.
Yeah.
It's full of rhetoric. It's full of fat paychecks of taxpayer money. It is full of non-stories.
Right.
Deflect this story as much as possible. They are there to be the eyes and the ears of the public, not the defense companies and corporations.
That's right.
And that's exactly what they are doing, and that's exactly what I hoped somebody like Anna Paulina Luna would say over time. That means behind closed doors. If we read between the lines here, that means between the lines behind closed doors that they are stonewalling the entire Congress people who are looking at this.
Yeah.
They're only, remember people, they are only giving us a fraction of what these conversations mean. And then you follow this up with the fact that the last hearings, as you called it, and many called it, the skiff flu came out when Chris Mellon bailed, David Grush bailed, Lou Elizondo bailed.
That's right.
Okay, where they were all supposed to be in that skiff meeting, which, if you don't know what a skiff is, it's like a room that is filled with foam and thick walls and cement all around it, so that way it keeps all sound and vibration out, so nobody can use any sort of technology to penetrate the wavelengths of voice phenomena coming out of there. And they all bailed on that.
Mm-hmm.
And when I look at it, by the way, an orb just flew right here. That was
cool.
That was weird. Okay. Anyways, when we look at that situation, it's obvious that Luna and others have had enough.
Mm-hmm.
They're saying no more. No more is this going to happen.
No, rightly so.
And I think it was ballsy of her to say that. I am a little reticent on whether or not this new group that she's already classified, they're apparently all about transparency, but we can't tell you who they are.
How ironic.
The irony is massive. Okay. Is it Soul? Is it the Soul Foundation? Is it the SCU, the Scientific Coalition for UAP Studies? Is it something else? Is there another group within the government agencies that is doing this and saying, get rid of those guys, give us the funding, we'll give you what you want?
Right.
What is it about? There is a bigger story here than anybody is admitting to right now.
Yeah.
Your thoughts?
Yeah, no, you're right. The thing is that was my question. Okay, first of all, who's this other group that apparently is faster, stronger, better? You know, I'd like to know who that is. I mean, transparency, the irony. Let's open it up then. But the other thing is, I don't remember who it is, and I'm not going to pretend that I know. But there was a quote made during the congressional hearings, or just after the congressional hearings, if I recall correctly, and somebody had said, commented on Arrow that they're a fake investigative group that is actually a flypaper trap for whistleblowers, right? And I can't remember who that was. It doesn't matter. But I kind of thought, you know what? That makes a lot of sense because, as Dave's put it, there's nothing to see here. Nothing to see here. There's a lot of that happens out of there, and I can understand the frustration that Luna and Congress and everybody else is going through. But it just leads, after a while, it's like, yeah, it's like the old Italian barber shop, right? Come on in. Nobody gets their hair cut there. You got to go to the back room to play poker or whatever the heck it was. So, yeah, I'm looking at it like that, and I think it's about time that somebody called them out. And I'm hoping, yeah, from the way I understand it, I'm hoping that, this opens up a can of worms and the story gets bigger now. I'd like to see that happen.
Well, let's not let the Congress people off the hook here for a second.
No.
Many skeptics today,
Mm-hmm.
okay, who've been very hard on this subject, did make some valid points today.
Okay.
Basically saying on X, you keep bringing in the same people who are telling the same stories.
True.
How many times do we have to have David Grush testify?
Mm-hmm.
How many times does Lula Elizondo have to testify? Granted, they've only testified one each,
Sure.
but every meeting seems to include them.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Mellon always seems to have something better to do than to show up, right? So he's going to turn down the invite.
Mm-hmm.
What they need to do is they need to go full court press, and I mean U.S. court press,
Right.
where they need to bring these guys under subpoena,
Mm-hmm.
and they need to put them under oath,
Yeah.
and literally force their hand to tell the truth of what's going on.
For sure.
Not buy my book, not give NASA money, okay?
Mm.
Not I've got a bunch of claims and I can only talk in a skiff, but because my top secret clearance has been taken away, I now can't tell you anything
Right.
that I could tell you in a skiff.
Right.
We've heard every excuse.
Mm-hmm.
We really have. And if the Congress people want to get serious, put them under oath, put them in front of the law that if they perjure themselves,
Yeah.
they're going to go to jail or be fined.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to keep bringing the same people up with the same stories and the same deflections, what do you expect? What's the definition of insanity?
Yeah, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result.
That's exactly what we're working on right now.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. And I think I said that to you earlier today. I mean, just speaking with about one person, like Jeremy Corbell, right? He'll come to the table and he's a good storyteller. He gets it. But it's the same story every time, just said differently. And you're right. It needs to change. They need to get rid of sweep the dust off and bring some new blood in. And like you say, hold their feet to the fire, hold them accountable. If you're going to come out and say this and then let's do this properly instead of dancing around it. And like you say, oh, by the way, I've just written a book, or, hey, have you seen my new podcast? Or just like, get on with it.
But here's the thing with Jeremy Corbell, and he takes a lot of negativity. Man.
He does, fair enough.
And I've been hard on him in the past too. Mm-hmm. When he releases a video, whether you buy it or not is irrelevant.
Sure.
He can only go by what he is told.
Sure.
Okay? And that's what he keeps repeating over and over, is the people who are feeding him are giving him the same type of story every time they give a video.
Okay.
He can't go and if he's doing it right, and I think George Knapp would make sure that he's doing it right.
True.
Okay? He can't go and exaggerate the story or expand on the answers
Right.
that he wasn't given.
Mm-hmm.
He can't put his own thoughts into the information that he was given. So I think that's the issue. But some of these guys do need to go under oath.
Yes.
They have to. And you can blow up Arrow all you want, but how do we know who these new people are, and can we actually trust them? How can we trust them at all? We don't know who this new group is. I'm going to assume, and the word is it's probably the Soul Foundation.
Right.
The good part about it is they're not affiliated with government agencies. The bad part about it is a lot of the scientists do government work.
Yeah, I don't think you can get
So-
away from it.
Is it Gary Nolan? Is it somebody else? I don't know. Let's go to the next story.
Alrighty. Well, the next story is completely kind of taking a left turn on this, but still along the similar lines. So the latest news coming out of Brazil. So the Brazilian National Archives announcement regarding the release of UFO documents submitted by the Brazilian Air Force for incidents in 2024 aligns with Brazil's ongoing transparency efforts concerning UFO and UAP. These documents, expected to be made public on the 12th of June of this year, are part of a long-standing policy rooted in Brazil's access to information law, which was enacted in 2012. This mandates the transfer of UFO-related records to the National Archives for public access. The practice began in earnest in 2008 following pressure from Brazilian ufologists and has made the UFO collection one of the most visited in the archives. So, based on historical precedents, the 2024 documents will likely include reports from military, civilian pilots, air traffic controllers, and possibly radar data detailing sightings of unidentified objects in Brazilian airspace. So, for context, a 2023 released document documented 80 UFO sightings by pilots describing phenomenons like large luminescent objects moving at high speed or exhibiting maneuvers defying known physics. These reports, while not confirming extraterrestrial activity, catalog objects that could be immediately identified as conventional aircraft, drones, or natural phenomenons. The Brazilian Air Force has been documenting such incidents since 1950, with notable cases like the 1986 Night of the UFOs, where 21 objects were tracked by radar and pursued by fighter jets across multiple states. The 2024 documents are expected to follow a similar format, potentially including detailed accounts, photographs, or audio recordings of pilot-controller communications as seen in past releases. Brazil's approach emphasizes cataloging rather than investigating or chasing these phenomena, maintaining a neutral stance on their origin. So the upcoming release continues Brazil's tradition of openness, contrasting with more secretive approaches in other nations, and will likely fuel further debate about the nature and these sightings, especially in a country with cultural inclinations towards mysticism and spiritualism. Almost reminds me of France, the way that they deal with it. If you go to the French website for UFOs, my goodness, it like pictures and all the people that investigated. It's an encyclopedia, and I like it. I think it's a good idea.
Brazil seems very open about this
Yes.
entire topic.
Mm-hmm.
They have been for a while, and many times I've had people, tell me, watch Brazil.
Yeah.
Watch what's happening in Brazil. Follow what's happening in Brazil with this UFO topic.
Right.
And that South American area with Brazil, Argentina, Peru, they seem to be getting activity from everything and every walk of life.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if there's bases down there or there's portals letting these things in, but I mean, you look at the aliens for years that have terrorized small little jungle colonies.
Yeah.
Okay, that, some have electricity, some don't.
Mm-hmm.
The aliens seem to be attacking them. There was the video of what looked like a mantid being on top of a roof there a couple years ago.
That's right.
There was that encounter that happened. I mean, Brazil is red hot for this. And, we just said this on the show the other night, where the beautiful part about being in North America is, the military and the governments don't have to admit what is going on there.
True.
And with the fact that they don't need to admit it, that's why we're not getting a lot of news out of there. But if you're really into ufology and alien contact, my big thing would be to say to you, watch Brazil.
Yeah.
Watch what's happening there. And Brazil, whether we like it or not, or even know it or not, is really a true leader towards any sort of disclosure. It really would be sort of disclosure.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes, absolutely.
We got about 3 minutes left. I wanted to ask you.
Sure.
You now have been to Flight 21 a couple of times. I want to bring about Tim Senor back in.
Yeah.
All right. How do you feel about his reaction in going back this weekend?
I respect it. I really do. I mean, we all handle things differently, and I'm not sure, don't want to go long-winded on this, but we all, it affects us. I shouldn't say handle. I think things affect people differently. And unfortunately, it freaked him out, and that's okay. You know, I appreciate what he said. I give him massive applause for sharing with everybody tonight. And I take what he told or what he said to heart. But I'm okay. I think he reacted the way he needed to react and the way it affected him, and that's totally cool. That's completely cool. I'm looking forward to this weekend again. I'm excited about going up this weekend again, and yeah, I appreciate his wisdom and his experience up there, and I thank him for sharing.
What do you think about the safety warning?
I think we've got that for more than one person, though. Right? I'm believing what I'm hearing. I think we'll be. Was it the other night? We were told that you had your guardian standing over your shoulder, and I'm getting that from a lot of people, and seeing and hearing that from a lot of people. So I'm not gonna just brush that off.
I'm curious to see what we get this weekend. I feel very safe there.
I do too.
I feel that we've taken the right steps for safety, and obviously we're going to continue with that. Do you think then? Let me rephrase it. Mm-hmm. You think we're going to get any more activity?
I would say we probably will. I think we go in with a good nice and open like we did last time, and good energy. I think that we'll probably get some more. I really do.
I hope so too, because it's going to be interesting. I can't believe, I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but I can't believe we've had 1,000 people watch our video so far.
Thank you.
Yeah, big thank you. I thought we'd get maybe 200-300 plays. I realize to a lot of people, you watch Mr. Beast or Joe Rogan, and you look at their views on a video, it's like 200 million.
Yeah,
right.
In an hour.
I knew we wouldn't get that, but thank you for everybody who's viewed videos we've come out soon tonight, Tim. As we say hello to Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal, rocking in the background with Little Brother is watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever it may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAP, Facebook, Spreaker, LinkedIn, the Space Travelers Club, and on X at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Remember, folks, this show is copyright by Bigfoot Broadcasting Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends, we're watching. We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night, but soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we got room for them too. Good night, everybody. That was a good show.
That was an awesome show.
That was a good show.
Yeah. Tim never talked about any of that before on a show or in public.
That was the first time he mentioned the legs.
Yeah. That's wow.
when he said no, I didn't see the alien.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, you told me you did.
Right.
And then when I said, look, I'm not trying to be a jerk here, but you told me that before.
Mm-hmm.
I said, what did you see? You saw him take a deep breath.
Yeah.
And you saw the real story come out.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying he was lying.
No.
I would say he was protecting himself because it scarred him.
Sure.
And to see 6 or 7 pairs of legs
in the trees.
Well, they would have been walking lower, right?
Okay,
They wouldn't have been
I
up in
see.
the trees because Samantha saw them walking.
Oh,
or saw the one walking.
I understand now. All right.
Okay. Thank you, Luscious Jules.
Yeah, no, that took a lot of guts. I give him full marks for doing this show tonight. So we're back down to normal temperatures tomorrow? Yeah, they plummet again.
What are we down to tomorrow?
I think we're down to, I'm just going to look.
15?
Yeah, exactly. So that's what, 60 Fahrenheit. And today we were at, 90 Fahrenheit. It's like, what the... Oh, no. High of almost 70 tomorrow, Fahrenheit.
Well, that's perfect temperature.
Yeah, with lightning and rain.
Cool.
Sweet.
Sweet.
Yes. Yeah, Saturday will be interesting. Those credit or see the chat in the corner of the screen. I've looked at that a few times tonight, and when it reminds me of credits. Like credits are rolling, like it's the end of the show. Not used to seeing it there. It's kind of weird that Tim and Dave caught the voices. Yeah, actually, Mel, that wasn't recorded on the cell phone. I had that was a GoPro, and I'm quite surprised because the voices caught. Like GoPros, they're kind of terrible for audio, and I'm quite surprised that we got it on there for sure.
Yeah, no, that wasn't on cell phone.
Mm-mm.
Part number 2 that we do, we're going to go over a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
And we're going to actually set up a third camera.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if we have a fourth. Do we have a fourth?
I think I've got another one kicking around somewhere.
Okay. I'm going to go look on Facebook Marketplace.
Oh, there's lots.
I would like to add 1 or 2 more.
Yeah.
Let's just cover every trail, everything.
Yeah.
Right? Let's just do it. 1 for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so we're going to do a little bit of a review.
Mm-hmm.
We're not to give away everything that
No.
we're doing, but one of the things we do want to do, though, is when we put the Jeep in 4 low and go into that gully.
Oh, yeah.
We do want... Tim is going to get out of the vehicle and show you how steep coming in and going out of that really is.
Yes.
So he's going to walk to the bottom and
let Dave do the through.
Then when we get to the puddle at the bottom, I'm going to make sure that I spray you. So you get all wet and you're like, damn it, Dave.
Damn it,
Damn you.
Why I oughta.
My face looks like it's got shit all over it now.
I'll just do the, what in tarnation?
Right? Dang, burn it. Oh, man.
Do need some grape nuts.
Those time and places that you wonder what would Wilfred Brimley's mustache say.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're not giving it all away, but yeah, there's some other things. It'll be good.
I did go to the dollar store today.
Yes.
I did get some marbles.
Mm-hmm.
I did get some glow sticks.
Mm-hmm. I like the whistle idea, though. I really do. What Lon was talking about on Monday night. If you haven't seen it, you can watch it. The archives are free. Yeah, that was good.
Yeah. I thought that was good.
Mm-hmm. But could you imagine walking back up there, driving back up there and getting set up and all of a sudden hearing the whistles all off in the bush?
Oh, yeah, Daryl Denton's the one who told me about that.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay.
Yeah, that one would scare I don't know how I would react to that, because we do need to get those whistles.
Yeah, I would be totally, I think I'd be tripping out, but I'd be like, yeah.
There might be some poo there, I'm not going to lie. If all of a sudden you start hearing the whistles and the whistles start getting closer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there would be some poo there.
It'd be like Jaws music or some doo-doo.
Right?
Doo-doo.
I'm not afraid to admit it. There would be poo there.
Yeah. Bring gummy worms. Yeah, that's it.
We're not bringing any food there, people.
What if I'm hungry?
Well, food for us.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, we're not baiting anything with food. That's for sure. Just too much stuff. I mean, yeah. There's martins. Yeah.
All right. Could you please give us some timestamps when you're recording? It helps to collate when we get impressions while you're out.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
What's that mean?
Well, what happens is when we upload it, we can actually get them to time, like the algorithm or the computer will timestamp it and say,
oh,
and it breaks it into little tiny chapters.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, let's do that.
Yeah, we can do that.
We can do that.
We can. We have the technology.
Do we? I didn't know.
Yeah, we do. Trust me.
I did not know.
Learn how to drive with night vision glass.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're still. That's the whole thing. We're totally. I can speak for Dave because obviously we've talked about it. We're jacked up about going back out there, but the thing is to stay with what our original plan was and to keep it mellow and keep it slow and not overdo it and become over the top. I'm like pumping the brakes. It's like,
well, you bring up a very good point, because one of the things that we want to do, guys, is we want to keep this looking like, I don't want it to look like a major production.
No. Like
a lot of YouTube channels that, as they grow, they get more technology involved, they get more advancement involved, they get more editing involved and sound involved. We want this to be as natural as possible. And the other thing, because all of you can't be there, we want to make sure that you guys get to play along as well. And I hope that works for you guys. Like, you guys, like when we download the video, okay, Tim and I aren't going back there to look at it. I mean, Tim goes through the video, but when he was editing it together and putting the pieces together from the different cameras, he isn't listening for the sound.
No.
He's just trying to get it together to put you guys out. So you guys are actually the litmus test of what is actually That's way too hot that I made that. Effects, amplify.
Yeah, I'll finish on Dave.
Sorry, I'm trying to do
No, that's what I mean. So I know where Dave's going with it. Yeah, but you guys are the ones that found it. You guys are the ones that heard the voices. You're the ones that wrote all the comments. And thank you, because this is what this is all about. It's everybody being involved, and it's a lot of fun. I mean, it's only one episode. I get it. But it's twofold. The audience gets to be involved, and the people that watch the show and listen to the show, and we get to bring it to you. It's goosebumps. It's awesome. That's the way we want it to be.
Yeah. And, we want it to be interactive with you guys, because you guys don't get to be there.
Yeah.
And, because of distance, because of travel, because of lots of different situations, and it's not a place for everybody.
No.
It really isn't. Like, it's so hard to explain. I still don't know how to properly explain the entire thing.
I don't think you can. I think you have to experience it, and then you draw your own conclusions. Obviously, I mean, Merle and Samantha and Dave. Samantha would probably build a permanent backwoods home up there. She probably, where Merle maybe not so much, and me, I'm okay, but I'm not going to build a, Dave doesn't, and Dave's cautious, and Tim's, everybody's got their own feelings about the place. So it's you can't put your finger on it, and it's just the energy that you feel and the experiences that you've had up there. And I'm saying that I'm feeling comfortable because my experiences, knock on wood, have all been really good and non-threatening. So, who knows if something kind of goes a little kooky. Will I be still thinking the same way? I would hope I am, but we'll see.
And, I would never head out there without a pointy stick.
Never. No.
I would go to our other Sasquatch spot without, and I've done that many a times. But this place here, because, I mean, how do you explain it? It's like if you put a circle with a road at the bottom, like a lollipop.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like.
Yeah.
Okay. And there's trails coming in on either side. And if you're focused on those trails, you can't see behind you for the other trails where something could be coming up.
Looping around.
And looping around or whatever it may be. Like, it's difficult.
A lot of visual impairment in there.
One of the things I would like to try coming up this week though, is I would like to just leave the cameras running and us just walk away.
I agree.
See what happens. If we're out there when it starts to go dark, stay for a little bit longer.
Yeah.
But put the glow sticks up and go for a walk.
Yeah.
And see what happens.
No, you just never know.
You never know. That's the problem. You never know. Right? So, I mean, it really is, guys, an intimidating place where you have to be on guard. Like, there is no time to relax there. Like, even when you're sitting around and you take a couple minutes to look at your phone or play a game or check the time or whatever, you're still on guard with everything. There is no relaxing there.
No, you're constantly on. Ears are always perked, and
it's a good time.
It's going to be a great time.
It's going to be freaking great. I do have a feeling, though, that we are going to catch something that we can't explain.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's going to be Bigfoot. I don't know if it's going to be a UFO. I don't know if it's going to be a ghost, a dog man, whatever it may be. I just have a feeling we're going to catch something that's going to blow the minds. And I know exactly where I'm sending it to. I'm not saying who.
No.
But I know exactly where I'm sending it to.
Yeah.
Because that, like Tim talks about the perfect piece of evidence, I think that one would I don't know what it is. I just have a feeling.
Well, you've been called back, man.
Yeah.
For a reason.
I just have a feeling. You know, then I'll get all excited with Walter M. Sterling on the air.
He's on every damn night. Did you know that?
I know that. I know that. I was listening to the theme songs today.
Oh, were you?
Yeah. Hold on. You know what? I accidentally erased them. I erased them. They're on my email.
Oh, okay.
Let me see.
What, your theme song?
Both of them. I got both of them.
No way.
Oh, yeah. I got both of them. Hold on here. Walter said I could use them if I want.
Nice.
Yeah. Where are they? There they are. Hold on. Well, we're going to download these. I'm going to put them on my... where's the download button? Why can't I download? Oh, there they are. Download 1. Download 2. There we are. I'm going to play these. Oh, yeah. I love these.
I know. We sing to them.
We do. Everybody can sing along with them.
Yeah,
exactly. You know what we got to do? We got to do some videos for Walter and myself with these. That would be awesome.
It would be.
I'm looking at you.
I know you are.
Hold on.
Yes, Dave.
Hold on. Let's go here.
Is this the opener?
Hold on. Did they? Oh, I gotta move them here. Hold on.
Everybody, hold on. Just hold on.
Just hold on, people.
Yeah, everybody hold
I gotta put them on my screen so that way I don't lose them.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah, really. Just hold on.
I'll turn my sound up.
Mm-hmm.
So that way people can hear.
Space. Dave Scott. Scott.
Oh, sorry.
That's right. It's Dave Scott. Jazz hands. Sounds like the theme to a National Lampoon show.
Well, part one's almost over.
Yes.
Yes, they're actually saying Dave Scott. Here's number 2. Sterling
Every night
lost
in space. Mission control. Dave Scott. Dave Scott. Dave Scott. Dave's not here.
I could use these too.
I know.
I got permission. I got to figure out how to use them.
We have some wonderful guests this evening on the Dave Scott Show.
That's a badass organ. Lost in space. Mission control.
All right, that's enough.
Could you imagine recording this
That is enough.
in the booth?
Oh yeah.
Dave Scott.
God, I love those.
Yeah,
We got to figure out something to do with that.
Oh, we'll figure something to do with
Oh
it.
yeah, I know we will. Make Walter proud,
That's right.
Father Walter.
A one and a two.
He
Yeah.
listens at night too, eh?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he listens at night. Oh yeah, man. Holy cow. Like, what does a guy do after having a theme song? Not one, but two.
I know. That's awesome.
What do you think of the new theme song, though?
I like it.
We'll play that one here in a second. If you missed the beginning of the show, I've changed my intro. Just the beginning of it. I'll play it for you guys. Hold on. Where is it?
Just wait. Just wait.
Where is it?
Just wait.
Is that it? Right there. All right.
Are you ready to hear your mystic voice of the night?
It's time to wake up.
He's here. Shush. Be quiet. He's ready for you to listen. Let's point our ears towards the little cabin in the woods, where together, my friends, we own the night. It's time for Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott.
I like that.
Yeah.
A little bit different.
Yeah, I like it.
Hopefully, I'm curious to see if the algorithms will hit that.
You never know.
I don't know. There's only because I start speaking after he says Dave Scott.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I start speaking, so I'm not worried about that portion.
Right.
But it's the because it's the portion prior to that I think I was getting hit on.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
time to wake up.
It's time to wake up. That was straight from the UK. That.
Dave Scott.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Eon, and being the voice of the gods for doing that. That was good.
Mm-hmm.
You look so excited, Tim. You're losing
fading.
steam.
I'm fading.
Well, well, Debaruni, all you had to do was ask.
Yeah, Deb.
Deb,
What's up, Deb?
I'll give you Tim's address, and then you could
Yeah,
send him
sure.
there.
Oh, God. Hillbilly Herb.
Oh, yeah. See, that's when you open up a can of worms there, and now you got that shit in your head for.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Yeah, appreciate it. All right. Who's on tomorrow? Brian Bowden is here.
Yay. Sir Brian Bowden.
Sir Brian Bowden, the man with 8,882 podcasts.
And a half.
And a half. Thank you for reminding me. Appreciate that. It's nice to have a show I don't need to edit tonight.
I was just going to say. No shits.
Oh, you have no idea how pissed I was.
I know.
Yeah,
no, I just sat here.
Old Davey was pissy, man.
A little bit cranky.
Davey was a little bit cranky.
Yeah. A little bit off.
Yeah. I would say this.
Would you?
I actually would have liked to have been in Ottawa to see King Charles and Queen Horseface.
Hey, Camilla, why such a long face? Sorry. Yeah.
No, but seriously, I actually saw Prince Charles and Diana at BC Place for the opening of Expo 86.
Yep.
And I think, you know what, as much as I'm not a big royal guy, I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Saw the Queen, too.
Oh, right on.
The Queen was at a Canucks game, believe it or not, an exhibition game when she toured one of her last times in Vancouver.
Oh, right. Saw the pictures of her double fist and the beers. And
Yeah. And so she did the ceremonial face-off.
Yes.
And going through security that day.
Good luck.
Like, we had to go 2 days prior and give our media credentials, letters, and absolutely everything to make sure we were there. So, I mean, it's kind of cool because, you know, you only see them on TV and then all of a sudden they're, you know, hey, Lizzie. You know, the NHL actually instructed, I think it was the Canucks and Sharks that night.
Right.
They actually instructed both teams absolutely no fighting while the Queen was there. And she stayed for about a period and a half.
And then all hell broke loose.
No, they played it clean that night.
Yeah.
No fight, but they wouldn't allow. It was exhibition game too, so it didn't matter.
Just fighting for positions.
Yeah. Saw these guys griping about hockey fighting online. They should be banned and put in jail. My comment. Soccer fields over there, boys. Bring orange slices and blue participation ribbons.
Don't forget the magic sponge.
Right? Get the hell off. The internet should ban you people. I'm all for free speech and everything, but there comes a point. If you're saying get rid of hockey fighting,
yeah,
you got to go in the garbage. Your internet days are over. Right? Yeah. So Brian Bowden tomorrow night. Thank you tonight. Let's read through the heavy list.
Yeah,
here.
no doubt.
Start off with Big Dog times 9.
That's it.
T-Bone times 2. Shogun times 2. Deb times 2.
Holy man.
Mel WD-40 with 2 lube chats.
Ooh.
Kira. Deadman. Kitty Cattywhack. Why do I think I'm missing somebody? Walter and Mennonite Abe.
Wow. Thanks, everybody.
That was really unexpected, uncalled for, but very thankful nonetheless. Brian Bowden tomorrow night. If you're new here, please hit subscribe, ring that bell, because we love having new listeners come in each and every night while we are here.
For sure.
And a big thank you to each and every one of you who are following us on social media as well. We'll talk to you tomorrow night, everybody. Take care.
healthy, my friend.
You too.
If you need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.